welcome to Brunch with Besties podcast.
Whoa, sounded like you was about to drop the hottest 16 like ever.
Hey, that's how it goes sometimes. I am Sherry Renee.
And I'm Chanel.
We are Brunch with Besties podcast. Our mission is to heal and help others as we heal and help ourselves through purpose-driven conversations.
Yep.
Today's episode is called Death by Giants.
Yeah.
How to hear from God.
Is you listening?
Are you listening? Yes.
We'll see.
We have author Cara Harris here with us to weigh in on that topic.
Yay.
Yes. But before we get started and we get into all that, we're going to start like we always do with a toast.
All right. I'm going to give my toast to Creed 2. Y'all already know. Had to go see Michael B. Jordan. So it was awesome. It was a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, you probably should go see it. I'm a Rocky fan anyway. A lot of people just bandwagon, because he's been in the last two Creeds. But I've been a Rocky fan. And it was a good story, I will say. It's not better than the first one, but you be the judge of that. I enjoyed it. So it was good. So yeah, I'm giving my toast to everybody a part of that. Another wonderful Black director who did a really amazing job. And it's important. That's what I want to say. It's very important that we see our stories, our characters that look like us and heroes that look like us. So I've really been in tune with that about what I kind of visually feed myself. Is it reflective of who I am? So it was good.
Yes. My toast goes to Thanksgiving break.
Oh, yes. God.
Won't he do it?
Yes, he will.
I need some more of them days
Right.
off.
Y'all got any more? Right.
Any more of those days off.
Wait, one of our listeners, one Pink Flamingo, I think is her name on Instagram, but she was like, yeah, tell Sherry everybody had Friday off.
Did she say
that? She said, I was like, I'm going to tell her.
Shouts out to one Pink Flamingo.
Yes, love you, but yes.
Yeah, I'm still doing no work Friday, so this week it was last week it was no work Wednesday.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, still doing that. So, and I know I post and act all brand new every Friday.
New. It's okay.
It is what it is.
The tide will turn.
Okay, now let's break bread. What's going on?
Nothing. Well, you just mentioned it. Thanksgiving break. I worked on Wednesday, so I was at work like crying real tears, but it's all good. We had like a Cole's Wildlife Theater came, and the kids really seemed to enjoy that, so it was super cute. But yeah, just preparing for this week coming up, and now everything is about to happen. JR birthday, Christmas, my birthday, so this is like grind time right now. I know, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I got going on. What about you?
So, my company is doing layoffs again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, it keeps happening right around this time.
The same time, yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, not ideal, but it is what it is.
My goodness.
And so, I learned last week that I'm good.
Oh,
but,
Well, don't do that. Like that little baby pregnant pause, just scared me for a second. I said, yeah, but I learned that I'm good.
I'm just dramatic.
You are. You really are. Okay.
I'm just dramatic for no reason.
Thank God.
But I learned that I'm good. Yay. So, I'm definitely thankful for that. But, it's a lot of sympathy and just empathy for the people around me.
Sure.
The good thing is that, the job market's good, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, no one wants to see someone lose their job.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have been a part of my company's legacy for a very long time. They're fully invested, and so it's just it's hard.
It is hard, especially around this time of year. As well. So prayers up to all of those people and their families, because that's a lot to deal with.
It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the tip. So we are reading Death by Giants.
Yeah.
By author Cara Harris. The link is in the bio. Read along with us. You don't want to miss this book. It is definitely life-changing.
It sure is.
You're going to be like, what's going on in my life? What did I do? God, are we good?
Right. I'm listening now, Lord.
Right. I know I was being hard-headed, but, it is what it is.
It is.
So that's the tip. And now we're getting ready for our favorite segment. Tea time.
Yay.
Alrighty, so now it's time for tea time.
Yay. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Like for real today.
We have a special guest here with us today.
Yes.
Author Cara Harris. Say hi, Cara.
Hello, everybody.
So today we're actually here to talk about your book.
Yes.
Death by Giants.
Yes.
which is amazing because I know a lot of our listeners, including myself,
and me too.
We always wonder, like, how can we know that we're hearing from God? Mm-hmm. And this book is so amazing because you share some personal stories.
Yes, I did.
But then you also tell us what makes us deaf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you kind of walk through different things that make us deaf to hearing God's voice, and then you share how it showed up in your life, and then you offer us some advice on what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been trying to practice
yes.
what it is that we need to do.
Yeah.
But before we get started, I just want to tell the listeners a little bit about you. So Cara Locke Harris was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on November 21st, 1970. Raised from a toddler in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Cara was the product of a very unlikely and unmarried couple, a young black girl from Arkansas and a white man from Maryland. Childhood for Cara was no easy feat, as she learned many hard life lessons. Even though rejected by her father, her mother was able to muster up enough love to carry her through. Shouts out to mothers.
Mm-hmm. They're wonderful.
Yes, they are.
One of her favorite memories of her mom is when she would read Robert Frost, Edgar Allan Poe, and Little House on the Prairie books to her at night. She read so dramatically that Cara was able to imagine the words in her head. Cara fell in love with reading because of her mother's ability to bring a book alive. Cara started writing in her own poems and short stories, always dreaming of having her own words in print one day.
Awesome.
And look at God.
Look at God. God is so good. That's awesome. No, that's great. And I love that because we were kind of not talking because I don't want to get a whooping in the hallway. But I said through reading this, like, you did that for me. What your mom provided for you to bring a story alive, like, you provided that same thing for me as I was reading. Like, yes. I could picture everything, and I can smell things and see things. Like, it really came to life for me.
Very poetic writing.
Yeah.
Right.
Very poetic writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's exactly how my mom was. You know, she could pick up any book. And she'd stand up and she'd just start moving and you know, the way she would form her words and I would be so in awe. I'd just sit there and listen. And so that's what, and I wanted to honor her and portray that in my writing.
You did.
You did.
Because it's very artistic. Like, I was like, wow.
Yes.
All these analogies and alliterations. Like, I'm here for all of it.
It was great. Yes. You certainly made her very proud. Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
So what made you want to write a book? Let's start there.
Well, first of all, I did not want to write a book after life. Just living life. I had no plans on being an author or trying to help anybody from my own experiences because I was so engulfed in being down and deaf and you know, living according to my surroundings and things of that nature. And so writing a book never occurred to me. And what happened was, literally, when I started the first chapter, something told me. I had began, you know, learning more about the Lord and, you know, understanding his word and getting his word. And when I had that burger experience, you know, I had to start there because that's where it happened.
Oh, okay.
And it's something so small, you know, as a burger. You know, it's like, how can a burger help you on this?
Hey, God speaks to us, man.
In mysterious ways.
Yes, he can use anything. And so literally when he, you know, spoke to me and said, you know what, you're doing well, don't do that. Don't eat that burger, because I was on a 10-day eating plan, you know, and I felt great and I was so happy. But after it was done, I was like, I want a burger. And when, you know, just those small things that we take for granted, when I went against that voice, I felt horrible.
Yes.
And I lay there and I was like, Lord, forgive me. Was that you talking to me? Why can't I hear you? And then he said, because your flesh was louder than my voice. And it literally, I heard that and I'm going, oh my God, you're speaking to me. And then I said, how many times have I done this in my life? And as I lay there, things began to come back to me from relationships, friendships, money woes, you know, so many bad decisions. He was there and he was speaking to me, but I couldn't hear because the situation I was in was so loud. I allowed it to be loud. And I I lay there apologizing to him and, going through saying, oh my, please forgive me. You were there. I can recall now.
Yeah.
And then he said, write it down.
Mm.
And then I went back into hard head mode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, you don't want that. Wait, didn't you just hear everything I went through and all the horrible things I did? Mm-hmm. And you want me to write?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through a whole process with that. I actually gave the book away to another author.
Oh, wow.
I did. And this, I said, you know what? I have this great book. And I gave, the author the name of it. And I said, you should write it. You're already established. And I think this is going to be a great book because the Lord told me this book needs to be written. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel worthy to write it.
Okay.
So that's how hard I
Did you know that you were a good writer?
I did.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I used to, with what you just read, I used to write poems, I used to write short stories, and I would show them to my mom.
And people would say, what?
Well, my mom loved it. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, this is really good, but I never took it any further.
Yeah, I was going to say, had you shared it, were you, in a school newspaper or anything like that, or, school writing?
Maybe in an English class, your teacher said,
yes, English papers, yes. Mm-hmm. I would get really, really good grades. Mm-hmm. I made sure everything, I had all these different punctuations, and I wanted to use, I wanted to make the paper lively. So in English class, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I never took it any further than that.
Interesting.
That's it. That's
so
interesting.
funny
Because the gift was there.
It was there.
Yes.
And it showed up.
Mm-hmm. It was
and then
there.
God said, write it. And you said, hey, other author, got something for you to write.
Yeah, I got this great book. And she actually did it.
Okay.
And when I was so excited, I bought the book, I read the book, and none of my life experiences were there. It was a great book.
Yeah.
But he said,
your story.
And then he said, write the book.
Yeah.
Again.
Mm-hmm. Look, he said, I told you.
Yeah. So I'm going to say it again.
Right.
A little louder this time.
Right. And so I had to write the book.
So how did he tell you the second time?
Right then. When I finished reading the other author's book, clearly that's not what I gave you. I gave you something. You and I had a whole conversation. I mean, the chapters were laid out, everything. He wanted me to write about my broken marriages, my broken friendships, my, my needs.
Right.
And how I went about that the wrong way. And, of course, the other author couldn't have written that.
Yeah.
So I tried to get out of it. It didn't work. and I think just that feeling of unworthiness, that's what it was. I had done so much in my life. I just didn't feel worthy to do a work for him that great.
Yeah.
And so
we did a whole series on not feeling good enough.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a huge one.
My.
Yeah, and in that moment to not feel worthy enough when God is telling you what you need to do to be like, I'm not worthy to do that.
So that's really low.
Yeah.
Well, this book is filled with lots of amazing stories that I think that people will definitely be able to, it'll resonate with them. But it starts off, all nice and sweet.
Yes.
But child, if you make it to chapter 2.
Oh, Lord. Sherry Nate is chapter 2. And going into it, I didn't know what I was going to expect. And I was just like, oh my God, I got to get there. That was the highlight.
Yeah, I knew. And chapter 2 is something that I thought I would go to my grave with. And I struggled. This is why I struggled. Lord, I don't want people to know this about me.
The shame.
The shame that comes along with it. I'm like, look what I've done. I am, I'm just not worthy to write this. And, and so I started off chapter 1, something told me, because that's how it started. I wanted to give honor to God first, and make sure, people understood who the Holy Spirit was, and the work that He has, and that you have to believe that And like I say, at the end of that chapter, if you still don't believe, then the rest of this book is pure entertainment for you. And then I say, but something tells me
that you'll keep going. Yes. Love that.
And that's what I love too, is just how it's more of a conversation.
Yes.
You know, like, because you was putting little jabs in there, like, you smarter than that, girl. You know what this is. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
God is real. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah, it definitely reads like a narrative, not more so like... Well, it is self-help, but it reads very narrative-like.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I was going for. And I knew I had to be transparent. And I had to tell about the 90s, you know, in my life. And
Speak your truth.
And so that time in my life, it just felt desolate, you know. And I explained that I had what I needed.
Right.
But there was still a want and a desire for more.
Yes.
And so, you know, you're working these jobs that are paying minimum wage. You have children looking at you, and they need things. You need things. Your car keeps breaking down, but you have one. And it's like, okay. Then I just went to my surroundings. You know, what's everybody else doing?
Yeah.
You know, and I believe that's a trap that so many of us fall into.
Absolutely. It is.
And you actually talk about this pivotal moment where I believe you were at your cousin's house or a family member's house, and you're looking around and you're like, oh, this is nice. That's nice. And then leaving, you're like, how come we don't have anything nice?
Yeah.
You know?
And my aunt, she's still to this day, she says, I'll never forget when you looked at me and you asked me that question. You said, why don't we? I was angry.
Yeah.
Why can't we live? I went from project to project, from one state to another state. And that was normal for me.
Right.
So to go to this house and know that this is my family member.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? I'm related to this person?
Yeah, you're in awe. Like, how is this possible?
Like, I literally didn't want to touch anything, you know. And so when I asked that question, it rung in them.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll never forget the look on your face and the way it made her feel.
Yeah.
You know.
And then to realize it's so young, like you were a child at that point, to know that this is drastically different from my surroundings. And why is that?
Yes. And ever since, I just had a feeling, you know, I want more. I want more.
Because you saw that it was attainable.
Yep.
So it's one thing when it's not in your eyesight and you don't think it exists. You think, oh, that's the rich people on TV.
Right. And that's how people can get stuck in that trap, to be like, well, I don't know anything other than this.
Exactly. And that was the key. I didn't know how to go about it. And like I said, the people I was around and that, you know, I had in my circle at the time, it wasn't about let's work hard and go to school and go to college and get a degree. It was, how can we get this money fast?
Right.
And, you know, and when you're in that environment, it'll latch on to you.
Right.
And it latched on to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, the plan was set. And here I'm, you know, doing things or engaging in the drug activity. And I knew it was wrong. But that was my option. I felt like that was my only option. I had a job, you know, and my needs were being met, but I wanted more. I wanted more. Yeah. And so I went after it the way I thought.
Yeah.
You know,
you were aspiring to be a drug dealer.
I was.
Yeah.
I was aspiring to be a drug dealer. And I was, you know, I was pushed into, take this city. They'll never see you coming.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
They will never see you
I
coming.
didn't see chapter 2 coming at all.
I was blindsided.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, plot twist. Plot twist.
Yes. I was just like, okay.
Order her steps, Lord.
Right.
Hurry up.
Wow.
No, but you even, like, you go into detail about the inner conversations that you were having with yourself, like the back and forth. And we do that, right? We just, you know, we go back and forth. Should I, shouldn't I? And then even the guy who you were looking to be your supplier, he was like they were laughing at you.
They were laughing at me.
Yeah.
Yes, they made me feel like, okay, you should turn around. I wanted to turn around and run. But that voice was like, oh, no.
You got this.
I got
right.
this. Yeah, I'm getting my onion.
Right.
And I did not know that. I'm like,
I was like, is that a drug dealer?
Yes, back there.
like, what is going on?
Siri, what is onion?
Right. I'm like, I feel like I watched enough of like shows
New Jack
like
City
that,
and stuff like that.
Right, like where I should know, but I I did not know. And I was like, oh, okay. Cara she had something else going on.
She's slanging.
Right. Out here.
Yes, I was. And I had to use that terminology for him to take me serious.
Yeah.
And, it was so crazy that, I call it the voice, but the plan that was set, like, I couldn't have come up with that. Stay at the door.
Right.
Don't go all the way in.
Yeah. Like you just like bossed up all of a sudden.
Yeah. I was
like all
in
these
it.
new rules just came.
Yeah. And so when I tell you, I'm just firing. All my senses were at 110, and I'm ready. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the other guy sitting there, and then when he walked away, this guy wouldn't stop taking his eyes off me. I'm like, okay, he probably thinks I'm Popo or something.
Yeah.
Who is this? This girl that, and they've seen me in the neighborhood because my mom.
Yes,
lived.
I remember them saying like, "Oh, her mom lives around the
yeah.
corner."
I didn't know they knew that.
Yeah. Oh, they know.
See,
They got to keep their eyes and
It's
ears
somebody's
on the
job to
block.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's very frightening, though.
It
Yeah.
was very frightening.
That is
And-
frightening.
And I got, oh my God, they know. They know where she, my little sister is there. And I kept saying, what? It was like two voices. What are you doing? Go for it. We got this.
Right,
You
yeah.
should turn around. No.
So what do you think that other voice was, that the other voice telling you to go?
Here's what I believe. I believe that the enemy knows our weaknesses. And I believe that your flesh will work along with the enemy. They became partners at that point. So I was pretty powerless. My flesh wanted more money, wanted, a better life, and wanted it quickly. And the enemy knew that. And I believe, Satan was right there cheering me on. Do this. Let's do this together. I got your flesh in my hand. We're companions now.
Wow.
But at the same time, I have the Holy Spirit here from my mom.
Yes.
I had been in church. As a matter of fact, I was in church at that time. So it was just, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Walk away. Don't do this. There's another way. And I'm going, but this over here was so strong.
And I see it. Yeah.
And
I don't know what the other way is. I know what this way is. Right.
And I've seen other people
Yeah.
do this. And here I am. I'm at the house now, so we're kind of too late.
Right.
I got the money in my hand. I'm ready. I'm here. And so it was a battle, a serious battle.
Yeah.
And at that point, it won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I think...
Well, the battle, but not the war.
Yeah. That battle, right.
That battle,
Right, that battle.
Was definitely won by my flesh and the enemy. Like I said, they were cohorts. They were working together.
Right.
And it was going to happen. And I talk about how I felt walking away.
Yes, the adrenaline.
The
Yeah.
adrenaline. When I tell you, I ran. I don't even remember how I got back. I was cutting through yards and, jumping over things. And when I got back to my car, it was like 3D vision almost. And I'm like pumping, my heart is pumping, and I'm looking around. Did anybody follow me? So, it's like it was different. It was exhilarating.
Yeah, you were on a high,
I
kind
was
of.
on a high.
Yes.
And you're right. That's exactly what it felt like. And it was to the point where I knew I couldn't go to my mom's house. Because she would say, "What's wrong with you, girl?
Yeah.
What you
She
been
would see it on you.
Yes.
Have you been
You know how
trying
moms are.
something?" Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, I can't go back there. And I said that feeling caused me to have an empathy, if you will, with kids that are out here doing these things today.
Yes.
It's a rush.
Yeah.
It's like a drug, and how do you compete with that? If you don't have anybody telling you about the Lord or trying to talk you down, your options are limited. You're gonna do something, if this is what you see every day.
Yeah.
It happened to me. So I'm the last person to look down on somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And now today, I'm teaching high school Sunday school for high schoolers. And we've even had some of those, you know, that have done carjackings and whatnot. And it's interesting to hear them, you know, to hear their side. They're very remorseful afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
But the thrill, it's that thrill. It's like a drug. And I can attest to it. Like, I was like, I'm doing this again. I'm good now. You know, I made it. I'm successful at this. And it was really, so when I think back on that, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. You were definitely mindset. in a vulnerable spot. But you talked about how you went to church, but you were like, but I wasn't really rooted in God, you know? And so, you know, and then in the first chapter, you talk about the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and how, you know, we're mind, body, and soul. And you're like, we both have souls. Like, we need to, again, how you said that you and the devil were cohorts. You're like, I need to be cohorting
with
co-creating,
the Holy Spirit.
right? With the Holy Spirit,
right? Not with the enemy,
right?
I need to change partners,
right?
Sleeping with the enemy,
right? Right, exactly. Like,
right.
You know, so obviously, I can create a strategy, I can execute a good plan, but just got to make sure it's with the right partner.
Yeah,
with the right partner.
That's a word
absolutely.
for sure.
And so. You call your friend over.
Oh, gosh.
And you like, girl.
This part in my head, like, I could just picture, like, the bamboo earrings. It's the 90s.
Yes,
like, y'all got on your bright colors.
I had box braids in my...
Or the asymmetrical look. Like, I was
the
really...
ponytails. The ponytails.
Okay, y'all had the ponytails.
Those in my kitchen.
Hey.
I'm like, come on, but it's so, and I want her to read my book without telling her what's in it. You know,
okay,
and I don't think she has yet, because if she
did, she would have called you.
I'm like, ooh,
yeah, you're gonna get a phone call, like, girl.
But I just want to say she's doing great too.
Good,
she's doing better. And,
that's wonderful.
She's actually moved away from here.
Oh, good.
But yeah, the plan. Good. I had my customers, you know, all lined up.
You was ready.
You had prospects.
Listen.
And so
you had a marketing strategy going.
I did.
She was ready.
I'm telling you, the plan was set. It was set. And so here we are, you know, in my living room with weed just spread out everywhere. You know,
from your onion.
From my onion.
Okay.
From my onion.
From the onion. Oh, God.
And all the little supplies. And she's excited for me. She's like, yeah, you know, let's do this. I'm going to help you bag it up.
Wow.
And so, and I'm like, try it out. You know, so we're going through this. I got the Mary J playing in the background.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Ready.
We were ready. And the doorbell.
You like, we're going to create the atmosphere.
Lord.
Yes. Oh, God.
Well, you go all the way. You know, when you commit, honey.
When you commit. That's right. And then the doorbell rung.
Thank God for the doorbell.
The doorbell rung. And we both, you know, we looked at each other. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right away, I was afraid. Like,
because at this time, there weren't any cell phones. We'd be like,
right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I look out. And there's this blue Cutlass. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. You know, that's Wayne. Why he just popping up? You know, why is he just
don't never just pop up. But today he got a popping spirit. He's gonna pop up.
Right? And so me, you know, no conscience. Hey, come on in. I'm glad to see you. You know, we just, you know. And he walks in like, are you kidding me? Huh? Are you kidding me? You want to, you know, no. He scooped it up so fast. And he was headed towards the back. Right toward, and I knew it, and I'm screaming, going, wait a minute, please don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, like, do you know how much money I invested in this thing?
Lord.
And so with both of us, we're grabbing him. We couldn't do anything. And there was the toilet flush. And, you know, when he looked at me, he said, I won't deal with you. Oh, I won't deal with anybody who does this.
He set a standard.
Yeah.
And I had never heard anything like that from anybody in my neighborhood or anybody in my circle. And something went through me, and I felt, it was almost like, You remember Adam and Eve in the garden when the Lord was calling them and they were hiding.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, we're hiding because we're naked."
Yeah, they were shamed. Yeah.
And he said, "Who told you were naked?" Oh my God, I felt naked.
Wow.
I was so ashamed, and I couldn't. And he left, and I wanted him to leave because I couldn't bear standing there looking at him any longer.
Humiliated, right?
I was humiliated. I was utterly humiliated. And, you know, my girl looked at me, and I can't say it on the podcast, I didn't put it in the book either, but she said, "That man loves you." Only she didn't say man. But, you know, that's how we spoke back then. And I had never witnessed a love like that.
So let's backtrack. So Wayne is your now husband.
Yes, he is.
But then what was he to you? At this moment, what was he to you?
At that back then when that happened, we were getting to know each other. And we actually went to high school together.
Okay.
And he was an upperclassman, so you know how that was. The upperclassman really didn't deal with the underclassmen or whatnot. But I knew who he was, and he knew who I was. He was always a really cool guy. Rode a motorcycle.
Hey, Wayne.
Yes.
Is it a Harley?
I don't know what it was.
This is in a 9-9.
He was one of those guys who, you know, he would be with his crew, and they'd be riding, you know, all together down the street on the motorcycle.
One of the clubs.
He was a racer, a car racer. That was his thing.
Oh, okay,
wow.
so he was really into
Okay.
He
motorsports.
I
He
guess.
was into motorsports. He liked racing, and
he was popping wheelies and
I know, right?
He actually broke his collarbone.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
okay. Wow.
But so that was Wayne. I didn't know him on that level. I knew, you know, just from seeing him in the streets. Oh, that's Wayne. Oh, Wayne. You know.
But that's so funny because he checked you.
He did.
You know.
He did.
And the way God will use people to get yourself together, like
And I was so surprised, and I thought, why is he different?
But so in one of our episodes, we talked about respect versus love. How a lot of women want to be loved so bad, and then they'll put up with whatever the guy dishes out because he loves me. Right. If he didn't love me, he wouldn't hit me that much because he wouldn't be so mad because he loved me.
Yeah.
But how, you know, it would behoove us all if we really got respect first, then love. Because when you respect your mama, you don't cuss in front of her.
Absolutely.
You can cuss like a sailor all day, but in front of your mama, you ain't gonna do that. Right? You can just, it is what it is. But it sounded like Wayne was saying, I respect you, and I want you to respect you.
Yes.
And I won't be a part of this
And I ain't gonna be a part of
I
this.
don't see that.
Right. And that's what it was so different for me. Now, I had gone through a marriage already by this time. And so to hear this man have a different perspective from
he took action. He wasn't just talking.
He wasn't playing.
Right.
No, he was not
playing with nothing.
Yes.
And then not only that, you know, my girlfriend says, he loves you. And I'm going, that's different. I like this love.
Right.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. This is different from what I've been getting.
But it's also unfamiliar, though.
It's very.
It's unfamiliar.
Yes.
And a lot of times we become addicted to what's familiar.
Yep.
You know, so.
Because it's comfortable.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
him even showing up that day at your doorstep all unannounced was definitely like, you needed that. And thank God that he did that. Because who would have thought?
Have you ever thought about, like, what if he didn't?
Yeah, what if he didn't show up? You would have sold that onion.
I think about, I would have sold the onion. I would have got another one and another
Exactly.
one.
And moved on to stronger drugs.
Right. Wow,
and so
yeah.
when you hear those words, you know, when I look back over my life, you know, I could have been dead, sleeping in a cold grave, because that activity leads to what? Death or
jail.
Or, you know,
those are the only two options.
those are the only two. And I'm like, I was headed, you know, I didn't have any good options. I was headed to two really, really bad places. And so I know it was the Lord who had to, he intervened that day.
Yep.
He intervened. And I went back and I asked Wayne years later, because we still talk about stuff like this.
Okay, good.
And what made you show up?
Yeah, wow.
He was like, I don't know. Something just, I said, see, there go that something again. Something just, I just felt like I wanted to see you. And I just felt like, I should come or something. Because we weren't, like I said in the book, we weren't at that level.
Yeah. But you know what? He went on assignment because as soon as he got done, he left.
He did. Right. He ain't stay. He ain't try to talk to her. Right. He was like...
He asked how your mama was doing.
Yeah, he was like,
see if you want to go eat, nothing.
He was like, oh, you tripping. Right. You tripping. I got to go.
Wayne came in there, checked you, threw the stuff away, and left.
And didn't call me.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, what do I do now? And I ended up, I had to call him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, can we talk? Because this is different for me. Mm-hmm. Help me understand. Because everybody else is like, go, Cara, do it. And here, you're like, but you live where I live. Right. You're from where I'm from.
Yeah. So what do you know that I don't know?
What do you know? What is it about you? And that made me head over heels for him. Mm-hmm. I was like, I want to see more of this. What is it about you? Why are you different?
What was it about him? Did he maybe experience the outcomes of how, like, maybe a close friend either ended up in prison or dead or something along those lines?
One thing I've learned about Wayne, and I try to, and he's still very different today. Mm-hmm. He has always listened. And when I say that, like when his mom used to tell him and his brother, don't go out of the house. Don't go out of this door. Mm-hmm. And so he would make a joke and say, well, my brother, he would listen. He wouldn't go out the door. He'd jump out the window. He said, but me, I'm staying in the house. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, really?
So he's an obedient.
He's always had this, obedience about him. And it's
maybe that's why he stopped by that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was just being obedient.
And I said, did you hear a voice? I wanted to know what made you. But he was like, I felt like I needed, something told me. And I'm like, okay. So you listened. Yeah. And I'm like, why can't I listen? Mm. What is it about me?
That is so amazing to me now. Mm-hmm. Hearing you, now, obviously I read it, but hearing you talk about it, so now I'm like, okay, Wayne comes over on assignment, gets rid of this you potentially selling drugs, changes your life, the trajectory of your life, and then makes you aspire to seek for obedience and why you can't listen.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
That is amazing. And that was his purpose.
So now, like, everybody, single ladies, find a guy that's going to make you chase after God.
I love a good love story, and that's perfect. Like, first you got to seek me first, and then,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. And it was so weird because even at that time, he wasn't in church.
Okay.
So this is him. This is just fundamentally Wayne.
Okay, at his core.
And even when we did get involved in a relationship, I didn't have to worry about him cheating. Mm-hmm. And that was different. Mm-hmm. He was just like an honest person. And
shout out to Wayne's mom.
Wow, right.
I mean, he really was. And I had gone through, constantly being cheated on by men and whatnot. And that, I just felt like that was normal. That's what men do.
Right, yeah.
And then here this man is presented to me. And he's like, I don't do any of that.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you if I want the relationship to be over. He's very blunt. He's very honest. And still to this day, with anyone, he just says, how he feels. Sometimes I'm like...
Yeah, because today he told me.
make sure my wife
get home before that snowstorm. And I was like, sir, yes, sir.
Better not be no snow on her car.
Right. I tell you that.
Shout out to Wayne.
No, I'm just playing. He's very nice. I'm just playing.
You're a real one, Wayne. We love that over here.
But I want to read a small section where you talk about, it's on page 24. It says, Satan has always used the voice of human needs to tempt and distract people from hearing God's voice and prevent them from walking into their destiny. And I was like, that is so true, number one.
Yep.
But it's also a good way for us to check to see who are we in cahoots with.
Exactly.
Who we working with. Yeah. Are we partnering with the devil today?
Yeah.
Are we partnering with God?
Absolutely. And it's, I discovered, I said, what? This is a plot.
Yeah.
And it's masked with normalcy.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
it is.
It's so normal.
Yes.
It's normal to sell drugs. It's normal to be in an abusive relationship because this is your surroundings.
Yes.
You're seeing your family members go through it, maybe your parents and whatnot. And so this is just life.
Yes.
You know.
And the human need that you were trying to meet was, how can
To
I
survive.
get what my family member has?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are the human needs that I'm trying to meet. Here's a plot. Here's the plan. And I know Pastor Mike Todd, in one of his sermons, Chanel and I, we did a series on, and I forget what series this was, but he was talking about how the devil isn't omnipresent, right? He can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
So he creates cycles that we kill ourselves in.
Yep.
And I was like, Jesus.
Yes.
Yes, the cycle.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
And
but
like you said, it's masked in normalcy.
it's masked in normal.
So you're like,
It
yep,
is.
I'm going to sell it. She going to smoke it and I'm going to buy it from him.
Yep.
Works.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
works.
done and done.
And we're just going to keep
Yeah.
doing it.
Yep.
You know, and that cycle, that sin cycle. And once you're in it, hey, the devil can just say, well, I'll set it and forget it and
Set
move
it and
on
forget
to
it.
the next
Like
one.
a crock pot.
Wow.
It works.
It'll
Yeah.
cook
It
itself.
works. Yeah.
That's
so,
Right. You will
But that's-
destroy yourself
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't have to do much work.
Yep.
You know, we're pretty good at doing it ourselves.
Yep.
So once it's in motion, you know, it just goes from there. Yeah.
Then you go on to talk about dry places.
Yeah. This is good.
Yes. I have to give a shout out to my pastor, Marlon Locke, for drilling that scripture into my head Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday.
Yes.
To the point where, you know, you can
You just know it
you
now.
just know it. And it's like, but what I didn't want it to do was just become something that I could rattle off.
But you know what? To me, that scripture is so potent that it shakes you every time you hear it.
It does.
It's so rigid in the vernacular that it's like a big caution.
Yes.
But I feel like Pastor does drill it in us every Sunday when he says it, right? So you definitely know it, but every time you hear it, it's like a new awakening,
Right.
you know, because it's
Right.
just so potent. Like,
Right. And so when I began to research it on my own, you know, I said, I've been dry. I used the word desolate earlier, and that's how that time in my life was for me. It was dry. I felt, you know, despair. And I could see, you know, as I was writing this book, you know, and you know, you kind of go into, you know, looking up words and, you know, dictionaries and in the Hebrew and this and that. And I found that they all mean, you know, empty, swept, and garnished. They mean the same thing.
yeah.
And, you know, as the Lord, honestly, the Holy Spirit was helping me write this book.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way I could do this on my own and put the verbiage together and, you know, knowing where to research and where to study and saying, you know what, these are levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are levels. And so you're empty and, you know, that's what the enemy does. He empties you of your hope, your dreams, you know, your aspirations, and then you're swept, right? So now you're swept with, he just sweeps away your connection to the Holy Spirit. He's sweeping all those things away. And to ultimately, you're just garnished and you're just prettied up for the world. You know, you're no use to anyone. And so I was heading there. And it was so weird because people would say, oh, you can sing so well, you know, at my prior church that I went to. And you know, it's no fault of the church. It was me. The space that I was in, I couldn't learn. Like for me, whatever the pastor was saying, it was like blah, 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 blah. I was so distracted by everything else. Then they say, okay, get up and sing. I sing, and people would feel the Spirit. And I'm going, how? I'm looking at people like they get it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so I really felt weird. It was like I'm in a weird place right here. I was dry. I was in a dry place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally have been there. Like when I was reading it, I was like, "Is this her book or mine?"
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I'm
Then I was like,
there.
"Was she at my old church with me?"
Wait a minute.
And so,
But there's a part in here where you say on page 32, the thought of another meeting or rehearsal causes more frustration than anticipation. The zeal once had to serve God's people has now turned into indifference. Serving now feels like the bondage of obligation. Work is no longer committed to the Lord, but is rushed and filled with annoyance. When is this going to be over?
Right.
And I was like, I totally have been there as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I love how you just said it plainly. Like, this is how I felt.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the honest truth that we just don't want to say because it's disrespectful to talk bad about church.
Yeah.
You know, but that's really where you are with your faith sometimes.
And a lot of people are there.
Yeah.
You know, and because I have gone through it, I can identify those ones who are feeling that way. There, you know, I'm like, okay. And that's why I always, if I do get a chance to minister to them, I say, remember why you're here. You're here for the Lord.
Right.
This is the Lord's work.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, worry about sister so-and-so or brother this and that. You have to stay focused.
Right.
Because if you lose that focus, you know, now your work is just, you're, like I said, you're filled with annoyance and it's just another obligation to you.
Right.
You know, you're not happy or joyful in your serving any longer. So yes, that definitely, I went through that. And I actually sat myself down. So when I did change my church membership, and like I said, nothing against my prior church. I loved the people there, but I couldn't learn. And they were actually really frustrated with me because they were like, you can't leave. You know, we sing together, we travel because our choir was like the bomb, and we were traveling to Chicago or wherever, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I need something. I need spiritual help, and I can't get it here for some reason.
Yeah.
And while others were, and so they were really frustrated with me. I was getting messages, and you're just acting out. You're just having a fit, a tantrum. Well, I'm really not. I couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
I could not explain it. But when I did join Unity Gospel House of Prayer, I sat myself down. I was like, I'm not getting anybody's choir.
Carla, let me tell you something. Look, because I did the same thing. I was at my old church doing everything.
See?
And then I left and went to Unity Gospel House of Prayer and set myself down. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. And I think it's because at the other church, I felt like I was giving everything because I was on like every ministry.
Okay.
You know? And again, no disrespect to the church, because I heard T.D. Jake say this one time. He said, you know, if I have 10 kids and I'm feeding them all the same food and 4 of them are growing and 6 of them are not, I know it ain't no problem with the food.
It's not a problem
right?
with the food.
And this is where you talk about the good soil, right? Or the bad soil, right? The seed is good, but what's that soil like?
Soil. Yes.
Right? And so I think for me, it just became, it's not a good fit anymore. Right? So the seed is still good.
The seed is great. There's nothing wrong with the seed. But it's the soil, like you said.
Right. This soil needs a different climate, though.
It's
just
true,
need a different climate. I was like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit in the back. I don't want nobody to know nothing. I don't even want them to know who I am.
Right. I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody I can sing. Nobody here knows that I sing or that I was in the choir before. I'm just going to learn. And wow, did that help me in my spiritual walk, you know. And then Apostle Elbridge Locke, you know, he was still here with us, and he's somebody who I could not do wrong around. So it was like when I would look at him, his eyes would just, he could see everything, you know. To me, it was like, okay,
he's naked again.
He's making me feel naked again. Yeah. So I got to straighten up. I knew I couldn't be at that ministry behaving the way that I was.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I needed that change.
And so God was like, I'm gonna get your attention, my child.
Yes.
And then you tell us a story about how you were at home and you saw your then husband on the news.
Oh gosh,
So God was getting your attention in a bunch of different ways, but this was just one of them.
So what you take away from this is that I am really hard-headed.
And that's probably why I'm so like into this book, because that's totally me.
But we all are. Because I mean,
sure.
that's true. Because God was like, I said what I said.
Yeah, all the time.
Just
Especially when it comes to listening to God and not being as rooted as I can be. I'm definitely like, oh my God, like me
Have
too.
you seen the meme where it's like, God, please send me a sign?
Yeah,
and then the sign has hit the person and got the person on the floor sprawled out.
That's me.
And the person is still doing the same thing.
I'm telling you, all day.
Listen.
Even after we talked about this wonderful story with Wayne, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
We stayed together.
But the seed was planted.
The seed was planted. We had a really, really good, strong relationship. Actually, the apostle, Elvis Log, told us back then that we were to be married.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And guess what?
You was like, nope.
You was like, nope.
Hard-headed
It's another man that I think I want to be with.
Oh gosh, Lord.
The craziest thing. It's like,
Pastor talked about that today. He was like, you looking around over the man that'll treat you right.
Yes. So I don't know if that coupled with Wayne just, getting kind of irritated with me. And, my ways at that time. Because, that particular thing straightened me out. But then it was like other things, whether it was drinking too much or, where he would have a drink, but not like me. I was like turned up.
Well, I told you, when you commit to something, honey, you're all in. You like, if we gonna do it, we gonna do it big.
Let's drink the whole bottle. So it was just, I had those ways instilled in me, and so I can imagine it was probably tough dealing with me at that time. And so like I said, it didn't work. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get in another relationship, with this guy. I know this guy. We grew up in the projects together. We were actually really good friends in the projects. So I mean, I regret ever getting romantically involved with him, because he was a really, really good friend. And that, he, like I said, I just wasn't enough for him. He was a huge womanizer. And I thought, hey, let's get you baptized. Let's get you, I knew I needed to be in the Lord. I knew that.
Right.
But I was so busy, because he was also a heavy drinker. So I was drinking to be, in relationship with him, to spend time with him and to do those things. But then when it was time for him to creep, it was time for him to creep. There was nothing I could do about it. No matter, how many drinks I had taken, or,
it was like a part-time job, trying to make sure he just didn't cheat.
Trying to make sure he didn't cheat. And honestly, it was work. And finally, and I don't want to tell too much about his identity, but he was in the job he had was a government job. And so it was a really big deal that he had been involved in some scandal. And it was so weird, because he had actually left me. I put that in the book. I came home from work. He was gone.
Oh, wow.
Moved out.
He just left his Best Buy shirt, huh?
Yeah. Left everything.
like on Instagram.
I'm like, something's wrong.
Right, wait a minute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So he had, taken a set of furniture and left. So me and my kids are sitting here.
Oh my goodness.
And we had a son together, but he was gone. And we actually, after he did that, he had stayed gone for a while. I think we tried to work it out. He came by and said, I need to show you something. And he turned on the television, and there he is sitting in court, being, with these charges against him. And they're like, and he is being held, right now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you being held? I'm looking at him.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right. You're like, so am I a party to this crime?
Right. Are you a fugitive?
Right. I'm harboring a fugitive.
Oh my gosh.
I was so clueless.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
no idea. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I've been saying, this is my friend, and we grew up together. I don't know
Yeah.
him. And so he had a completely different life outside of me. You know, and it wasn't just the women. Now you're involved in something else.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was like, I'm like, where's Wayne at again?
Right. You not knocking on my doorway?
Right.
Where you at?
I'm here to go come save me from this. What, you know, it
Oh
was
my
just like,
goodness.
oh my
Alexa,
God.
play Unbreak My Heart.
Right. And
Man.
so it was just really a different time. And I'm sitting there going, who am I? You know, what's going on with me?
Yeah.
That I didn't see any of this. I didn't see it. I didn't know it. I was completely clueless on what was going on in his life. And this was my husband.
Right.
And I'm
The person that you're supposed to know the best, right?
Wow.
yeah. So it was really, really a different time. And that was a wake-up call. So honestly, after that happened, and it was so much. I don't want to jump ahead. I don't know how far you want to go, but that marriage breakup or whatever that fiasco was, happened right when my mom
Yes.
started getting sick.
Yes. So yes, when God was trying to get your attention, it seemed like there were 3 key things there, right? So that with your husband and then with your mom. And I was like, so I'm reading and it's like watching a movie and I'm like, God, no, you know, she's busy with her husband.
Right.
Don't bring on the mom right now.
Oh my goodness.
Like, give us a good year.
Yeah, I needed
Then
a
maybe
break.
we can deal with the mom.
Yeah.
I needed a break.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just reading it.
It was a lot. It was like, okay, he just left.
Yeah.
Now he's facing these charges, and I don't know what's going on. I got people at my job talking about me. They're whispering.
Oh, my
goodness.
They have newspaper
The
clippings.
humiliation, yes.
The humiliation. And now mom is sick. And I'm like, okay. I literally said, I'm going to table this, and I'm going to go deal with my mom. So, like, I wasn't accepting any phone calls from, you know, my ex-husband. I had to let that go because mom was really, really sick. And she ended up, so this was the point where I said, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
You've taken your hand off.
Yeah.
My life, and I'm in a whirlwind right now. You know, God, I hear you. Okay, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready. And then I start bargaining. You know,
Yes.
okay, I'll give you my life. I'll leave this person alone. I'll stop going to this church. I'll straighten myself up. No more drinking. No more partying or whatever. And I will serve you if you let her live.
Let her live. Yes.
Let her live. And so I bargained, and I did my, you know, I talked about in the beginning how I would open up
The Bible
the
to
Bible to any place and just start reading at the first chapter or whatever. And, you know, I would get a good word. And so I tried that. And he was like, I'm not talking to you.
Right.
I've been talking to you for years.
Right.
And you haven't been listening. So I'm not talking to you. And that hurt.
Yes.
So I felt like there was some comfort in knowing. There was something that said he was there.
Right.
And that he would never let me fall too far. You know, or go over the edge completely.
Yeah.
But I kept taking it for granted.
Yeah.
I just kept taking it for granted.
Yeah, and you called it death by abusing God's grace.
Abusing grace, yes.
And I was just like, oh, like when I saw the title, I was like, we gonna have to wait till tomorrow to read this one. She might call you out.
Listen.
It's true. You know, I knew, you know, there's something, once you get a taste of the Lord, like he's there. He doesn't, like he said, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you. We belong to him, whether we, you know, act right or not.
Yep.
And I have experienced him, and I've had, you know, encounters with him, and then I go back.
Yep.
You know, so I knew he loved me, and I knew he was real, but I just
Took him for granted.
I took him for granted.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lord will forgive me for
Yep.
that.
Right.
I'll ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Let me
Or,
make
you know,
sure.
I do that, but I don't do that. You
Yeah,
know,
see?
I sell weed, not crack. You know, now crack is whack. but weed is from the earth.
But I can tell this. Yeah, you start making excuses and trying to make it fit to you. Yes,
You know,
for sure.
but that's what we do, man.
That is
That's
what we do.
That's
I'm
what we
only
do.
human.
Real.
I mean,
Right.
That's what we do.
I ain't perfect. It's really Eve's fault.
But
you know?
right.
She messed it up.
She messed it up with
You know,
me.
I'm a
She
descendant
bit
of
that
her.
fruit. Yeah.
But any good parent they gonna get you straight, and they gonna make you feel it to be like, no.
And he is a good father. And I'm pretty sure it hurt him
Yes.
more than it hurt me, because I come to know that he really loves me, and it was hard. That was like a journey to understand that.
Yes.
To even begin with that love felt like, because I wasn't getting it from anybody
Yes.
other than this person who was about to leave me.
Right.
Oh no, I tried everything.
And it's funny because that's what I said when I was reading. I was like, now look, God, this all she got.
This is all I got
Like-
left. I'm willing to let it all go. I'm gonna straighten up and fly right.
But you're like, please just don't take my
Yeah.
mom.
Don't take her. I
Right.
need her.
So how old were you when your mom
Yeah.
was in this state?
Oh my gosh, my mom passed away at 55 in 2002. So in 2002, I was 32.
Oh wow!
Oh, my
your mom was
goodness.
really young.
Yeah, she was really
So
young.
Really
according to
young.
math, Chanel and I are getting ready to turn 32.
Wow,
Apparently, are we?
yeah,
Is it 32?
yeah,
we
we
stopped
are.
counting because hey, when you're grown, you're just grown.
Yeah, right. We just wrong.
I just had a birthday last week. So
my
happy
happy
belated.
birthday!
thank you.
But I always
Wow.
wonder, like, because I feel like now is when I finally appreciate my mom.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now I actually listen, you know?
Exactly.
Chanel's mom was on our pod a few weeks back, and she's like my surrogate mother.
Yeah.
So I just always like my heart is always broken when I see someone lost their
Lose
mom.
their
'Cause
mom.
I'm like,
for sure.
but how do you go on? You know what I mean? Like it's a lot.
It's not easy.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That is not easy to come back
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
You can bounce back from abuse. You can bounce back from, broken relationships. But, the loss of a mother, I always say, especially one like mine, who has so much love for me and my sister that, even though we were really, really poor and didn't have any, we didn't know it.
Yep.
That
That sounds like my mom. Yes.
I mean, she would make hot dogs and tomato soup so delicious.
Right.
Yes,
just
make it
bread.
work.
You think it's a delicacy.
Listen, or making dinner and she wouldn't even eat because she like, I need to make sure y'all eat. So
and
yeah.
so just
Shouts
the
out to
fun-
Black moms.
Yes. The fun that we would have, and here I am faced with, I might lose her. And so I'm literally, hey God, we got to talk.
Right. Like, God, I know you were trying to reach me last week. I didn't respond. Can we have a meeting today?
Right,
God was screening your calls.
Yeah. He was like,
not
no.
yet.
He wouldn't talk to me.
Not
And
yet.
He was like, who number? New number, who this?
Who this? Yes.
Ignore.
He was screening it. Like,
Screening. And that feeling is like, oh my gosh, it's such a feeling of loneliness.
Yeah.
When you can't get a word from the Lord or a touch or something, and that's the only thing that's going to help you get through this, the only thing.
Yeah.
Like nobody could say anything to me. And so to look at her in that hospital bed, not being able to breathe on her own and just there. Not, I don't know if she was aware that we were standing, with her, rubbing her, whatever. But when she came out of that, I was so excited. I said, he heard me. I thought.
And I was reading like, yes, come on, God.
He came
We
through.
good.
Even though
Yeah.
I've been a wretch, I told him,
You were like, there go that grace.
I'm going
right?
to keep my bargain. I'm going to keep my end of the deal this time, for real. And so, like, I talk about how she was terrified of dialysis. And they said, well, you're not completely out of the woods. You have to have this dialysis. And she didn't want to have it. She was really afraid. And I said, well, Mom, I think we need to listen to them. So now here I am. I'm a voice, telling her what to do. And I'm not even sure. I'm just afraid. So I'm the voice of fear, you know. And she was already afraid, and she really needed good guidance. And she often came to me for that. And so that guilt, I said, just do it. I'll get you there. It'll be all right. And wouldn't you know, where they had placed it in her neck, it set up an infection that traveled to her heart. And there, I think she had like 5 heart attacks and all that in that one day. And she was just taken.
There was a small glimmer of hope, though, because I was like, so that was a whole roller coaster just reading.
It was.
Because I was like, okay, gosh, she gonna serve you. You gave her grace again.
Can only imagine living that. Like, wow.
But then the heart attacks. But then there was an emergency surgery, and I was like, okay, like we got it.
We got it. They were wheeling her up there, and I'm like, yes, God, okay, you're still with me.
There's still some fight. Right? Yeah, there's some fight left here.
And on the way to surgery, she had another heart attack, and that was the one that, and when they came. And I'm going, no, you were going to do the surgery. What are you talking about? And I just lost it. Like, this doctor ran out of the room so fast and slammed the door because I'm screaming. I'm like tearing up the room.
Yeah.
And
because that wasn't the plan. The plan was we were going to do this surgery and she was going to be okay.
And I thought my deal, I thought I had made a deal. I thought I had bargained with him. I thought I had reached him and convinced him that this time, unlike the last time,
I'm gonna do right.
And he wasn't having that.
Like, no.
Yeah,
he was done with my games.
He's like, you're not gonna bargain with me.
And so that whole ordeal with me being just angry, and then that voice came back. Did you really think you could bargain? Did you really think you were good enough? Did you really, you should have done more for your mom. You should have taken her to the hospital the night before. You should have driven faster. You should have, just so many things.
It's somehow your fault.
It was my fault. And so the defeat that I felt, the pain, it was just, and like I said, we buried her. That was May 6th. Mother's Day was May 11th. So we buried her the day before Mother's Day, and I just laughed out loud. Like, are you kidding me? My life is over. And I had children looking at me, and I'm going, this is it, guys. I don't have a husband, I don't have a mama.
But you still got the husband situation. You're just ignoring it.
I ignored it, and it was at that point where I didn't want that anymore. I was done. I couldn't be married anymore. I didn't know how to live without a mom anymore. So I was just like walking around in a daze.
You were talking about how you didn't even cry because you were still, it sounded like you were still kind of in anger.
I was very angry. And people were going on,
that's the worst.
People had to live, and I just wanted everything to stop.
That's always been the hard part about death to me.
That's the worst.
You literally want to pause life so you can get yourself together. But everybody's with you that day, and they're praying for you, and they're hugging you. And then the next day, they just back off. It's like it never happened.
And you only get 3 bereavement days at work. And so you have to go back to work. And I'm going, I can't function. So it was very difficult for me to try to figure out how to live life. After losing her, I couldn't lean on my sister because she's dealing with the same thing. But she had more of a support than I did. She was married, and her husband was there for her, and it was just, and I just felt alone. And I knew only God could help me get through that. And even though the enemy tried to isolate me from people, telling me, look at them, they don't care. They're going on with their lives, I was like, I can't listen to you anymore. I know you now.
Fool me once.
Listen, gotta put you on mute. Silence this.
I can't listen to you. I know only God can help me get through this. And so that's when I just really focused on the word. And even though I was still angry, and I was still feeling these feelings that I couldn't understand or comprehend, the word. I just needed the word. That was soothing. It was the word. And that night, when the apostle, he said, I'm going to call out what you're dealing with. And when I call your situation, you come up here.
To the altar.
And so I'm looking at everybody, and I'm like, maybe this is it. This
Right.
must
You
be
like, I'm
it
about
for
to
me.
be free.
Yeah, I'm about to get the help that I need, because I literally felt like I may have a nervous breakdown or something. And I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, when you gonna call me?
Right. Right. Here I am, forgotten again.
Right.
Like,
Wave your arms like,
what are you waiting for?
I'm right here. Despair and broken heart over here.
Right.
Call
Bereavement,
that.
loss. You can call out 10 different things. I will respond.
I'm getting up taller.
Right.
So it was like everybody's going up, and I'm still the only one standing, right? And he was so tough. Oh my gosh. And I felt like he was especially tough on me because he could see something in me. And when he walked over to me, he's like, "What are you going through?" He said it like,
Right. Like, why you ain't come? You know I called you.
Why you want to be special or something? And I'm like, I told him, I said, listen, my heart is broke. And I've heard of a broken heart before. And even though I had been through broken marriages, I didn't really understand a broken heart.
Yeah.
My heart was hurting, like pain, physical pain, where I thought, I even said in the book, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. So when he anointed me, prayed for me, and like I said, he blew that breath of life in me again, and I just needed that. And I was able to have a release. And I was able to pick myself up and move on. And I felt God with me again. And I really needed him. And so just going through that and feeling loved by God and being able to talk to him and read his word and have him explain things to me, his Holy Spirit, it was like, okay. And then I realized I haven't really cried. I'm like you said, when you do something, God, you do it all the way. Like, you healed me too good.
Right. Like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
I missed a step.
Right.
It's like, I still want to, I need to mourn. I want to cry. I want to cry for my mom. I said, would you let me? And instantly, tears. And it was so amazing. And I was just, I was thankful to be crying, but then I was thankful that he answered me. And I was like, okay, you are here. You're here. You're here.
And you're not done with me.
You're not done with me.
You didn't reject me. You didn't abandon me.
Yes.
Because that seems to be like a theme throughout the book, is like rejection and abandonment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I needed a father.
I was just gonna say that. Do you think that comes from your actual father not being there?
It does. I'm surprised we haven't. Yes.
Oh, we getting there.
Oh yeah, we are, because that was definitely on my mind.
Yes, absolutely, it does. And so, he walked me through, just the dream that I had, where I was still trying to save her in the dream.
Yes.
And, I'm pumping away on her chest, and she's just laying there, so beautiful and peaceful. And, because I could hear her heart monitor, beeping, slowing down. And I'm like, wait, Mom, I'm going to help you.
Right.
And I'm trying to help her. And she's like, Cara, look, you're going to hurt me if you keep doing this. And I was like, oh, I am? It was so real, I'm telling you. And she said, yes, I'm fine. And I thought, okay, I believe you. I see it. I don't know what this is. It's like glory, all over. And so I stopped, the chest compressions, because I was working. I had went all the way back to John Marshall High School health class.
Listen.
I'm like, I'm
1, 2, 3.
Yes. And when I let go, she was still smiling at me, and the monitor just beeped, gave that long beep. And when I woke up, I could still hear the beep. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was dreaming. I had to be dreaming. Right. And the television back then, TV actually, some stations actually, stopped broadcasting for the night. And so it was that beep. And I was like, oh my God. And I cried. I cried so hard. I'm like, how does that happen? Right. The sound from your dream is in the room with you. And it felt so real. And when I tell you, my arms were sore. So I'm going, I was really working.
You was working, for sure.
I was really working. And that experience, just hearing her say she was fine,
But not only that, but she also, like, to me, when I was reading it and you were doing the compressions and she was like, stop. To me, that was saying there's nothing that you could have done. Like, this is not your fault.
And I think you needed to hear that from her.
And then her saying, I'm fine. And then in the all white, because that's the same, when my grandmother passed away, same thing, dream in all white. And she was like, oh, I'm good.
Yes.
Like, well, y'all can cut all that crying out.
Exactly.
Because Grams is good.
Right. This is where I want to be.
Living my best life.
Listen,
Yes.
This is where
I feel bad for y'all.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't cry for me.
Right. Don't cry for me.
And so that
you're crying for
dream-
yourself with yourself for self.
Yes. She was fine, and I believed it. And I'm like, okay, you are fine. So I was able to stop trying to help her.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
But to
stop.
release that guilt that
Yeah.
you had built up
I
within
did.
yourself.
Yes. The Lord just, he gave me what I needed. He helped me through that. And I knew he was the only one who could do that. And he did that for
And
me.
the apostle said, like, you'll have a dream.
He did. He did. He prophesied right there. You know, to show that the Lord is going to heal your heart. She's going to come back and talk to you. And it happened.
Yes.
And
That
I'm
was
like,
amazing.
It was amazing. God is amazing. You know, and just that experience, you know, it changed my whole perspective on death. The whole thing. You know, I'm like, I've been looking at this wrong. I've been so afraid of it. It's coming.
Yes.
It's coming.
It's the only thing that we're actually guaranteed when we're born.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's going to happen, but it's like, okay, prepare. You know.
Yep.
Oh, there was something that you said about our perception of death. I think, let me see if this is it. Is it on page 92? Where I was like,
Page
this
92.
is amazing. So, okay. You said our own perspectives and ill preparedness makes death unscrupulous and unethical in our eyes. And I was like, truer words have never been spoken. Like we do. We all have this certain, because it's a large part of death is just so unknown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we feel a great loss.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in our mind, because of the loss, we think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And you're doing this to me.
Right.
Yeah.
You're hurting.
You're
Yeah.
hurting me.
You're doing something.
Or it's that selfishness. Like, I want what I want.
Yeah.
And death, it can't happen to me.
Yep.
You know, or
Yeah.
anybody in my family.
Yeah.
Why
Oh,
would it,
yeah.
You know.
And then, like, when you said, like, oh, but I'll do this and I'll do this. But then you also say death just doesn't discriminate. So it's not about you being good or being bad or behaving or what. It just is.
Right. And even one of the wisest kings in the Bible, he's like, hey, death is not fair.
Right.
You know,
man.
everybody dies, no matter if you're saved or not saved. We all have the same fate. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
That makes it fair.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's not racist.
Yep.
It doesn't discriminate. It's coming for everybody.
Everybody.
Coming.
And it will tell you, I'm coming.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm coming.
I talk about my son when he just, I said,
Oh,
death
yeah.
spoke to him in the kitchen one night. And he broke down crying. And we're running like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he didn't want to speak. And finally, I got him alone. I said, what? Why? Why are you crying so hard? He's like, I saw you dead. And I'm like, okay. Death just spoke to him. And I couldn't help him. Because guess what? It's coming.
It's
It's
coming.
coming.
Yeah. So, you know, I look at that now and I say, you know what, babe? Prepare.
Yeah, that's so funny you said that. My son, like, we had that conversation too in the car, and he was like, I had a dream last night. And I'm like, well, what was your dream about? He was like, I don't want to say. But I'm like, Jared, it's okay. Like, tell me, like, what happened in your dream? He was just like, yeah, like, you died. And I was like, okay. And I had to tell him, like, you know, that's inevitable. Like, everybody's gonna die. And I was just like, well, let's just continue to make the best of today,
Yes,
like,
make
so
the
that
best.
he wouldn't worry about it. But I was just like, wow.
See, that's probably why I don't have kids. So I'd be like, what you doing dreaming about me dying? What do you think this is?
So he said, what? I ain't going nowhere. No. But no, like, for him to have that, but then, like you said, like, my role as his mom was to comfort him, to say,
Yeah.
okay, well, we all have to die. Like, there's nothing negative or wrong about that.
Right.
So I don't want you to worry, because you know,
and that's what I'm saying. Death is telling us, get ready. You
Yeah.
know, because we have those thoughts, whether it's you're alone at night and you know, you visualize a loved one passing away and you're trying to hold back tears.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know, I imagine that happens to everybody.
Oh, sure.
And that's just saying, hey, get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready, yeah.
You know, get rid of your oughts and your faults and, you know, all these issues with your family members or friends, you know.
I think that the awareness of death makes you reprioritize.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you saw your mom on her deathbed, you're like, okay, God, I'm going to serve you.
Yeah.
Like, everything else became,
Yes.
you started to reprioritize things that were always important, but we just weren't acting on.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I think that that's what it is. Like now, you know, when people are on their deathbed, like my grandmother, everybody wanted to come see her. I ain't seen her in years. Right. But now you want to come
Now
see
you
her.
wanna
Yeah.
come.
It
Now
makes
it's important.
you very intentional to be like, okay, I
Yeah.
know what I need to do because life is short.
Life is short, and so now that I've gone through all of this, when I'm talking to my children, I'm like, you know what, guys, life is too short. You know, love each other.
Yes.
Now, you know, because if something happened to one of your siblings, you'd be sick.
Yeah.
You know, and then they actually start looking like, oh my God, you know.
Yep.
So that, yeah, it will put things in perspective. It will.
Yeah.
When Pastor was talking about how death is like a vapor, and then he asked somebody to give him a spray bottle, and he sat there and sprayed the whole thing down, but it was quick. You know, he was like, "That's life.
That's it.
That's it.
It's gone.
There it is. Did you see it? Oh, you missed it. Look again."
Right.
And it's not no do-overs.
like, oh my God.
Listen,
Yeah, it's no
not no
do-overs.
do-over. Can't put it back in the bottle. Once
right.
it's done,
Yeah.
it's done.
Right.
So everything left unsaid will be unsaid.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
So that that journey change was pivotal
Yeah.
in my life. Yes,
Definitely.
yes, yes.
Which brings us to Dad. So we talked about
Yes.
Mom. Tell us the story when you're in the courtroom about Dad.
Yeah. So that chapter is death by rejection, and I do believe that is the premise of all my whole life. That was, you know, being in the courtroom that day.
And how old were you?
About 5.
5.
I'm holding my mom's hand. You know, I'm looking around. It's my first time being in a courthouse. I'm so in awe of all the structure.
Because when you're 5, it's big.
yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at these door handles. Look at this, you know. And so we're in there. I'm like, why are we here? And, you know, she really didn't want to tell me. And then I see my father. I'm like, hey, Daddy, you know.
Right.
And he's just
Like, Mama, that's
straight-
Daddy.
He's just straight face. He's just looking straight ahead. I'm going, Mama, why is Daddy ignoring me? Why is he acting like he doesn't know me? You know, and because we had a relationship. No, it was a weird relationship. It was that weekend thing, or I'll see you when I can. But I was so young, I really didn't. I just knew that was my dad.
Yeah.
And to you, that time didn't.
Yeah. You were like, hey,
that's my
cool.
daddy.
It's
Yeah.
the weekend again. Get to go see
Yeah,
Dad.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So why aren't you talking to me again? What's going on, Mama? Why, you know? So I'm like, Daddy. So I ran over to him and I kicked him, you know, as hard as I could. And I said, why are you acting like you don't know me? And the whole courtroom fell out laughing. And my mom was like, Cara, you know, get back over here or whatever. And it was just, so I don't know what all was said or whatever. But it turns out, so back then, I was born in 1970. Racism was very prevalent. And my father is white. So he was he got off the hook. They had a blood test and everything.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
And see, and that's what I was wondering, because you mentioned how on your birth certificate, for father, it says unknown. And I'm like, but we knew. So how?
Right.
Yeah. So if he won that case and said I wasn't his daughter. And so I was like, wow. So the tension from that moment, no matter how, you know, great I thought my dad was, there was a lot of tension after that, you know, between him and my mom, and I could feel it.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't completely leave me, but he didn't support me. You know,
Well, he
didn't-
probably wanted to engage at his convenience.
yeah,
Right?
it was at his convenience. So I didn't have the financial support, and that was what was most important to him. He didn't want to take care of me financially, and I was black, so he was able to not, you know, take care of me. you know, this is the government back then. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, every now and then he'd drop off $20 to the projects where we lived, you know, a little change here and there, and be on about his way. And so that was so frustrating to me. And, you know, I would want to take my friends to his house. You know, he had a house. So we're living in the projects. And most of the time we were hungry. So it was like calling him for help was a struggle. You know, most of the time he would, you know, give us a little, like I said, $10 or $20. That's what we were worth to him. And so, but that was still my daddy.
Right.
You know.
And just to be clear, so the reason why he didn't want to claim you as his child is because he didn't want his family to know, because he felt that he would probably lose his inheritance.
Right. He grew up with a very racist family. So his parents were racist. And so he told me years later that he did it because he would lose his inheritance. Well, he did. You know, because I don't know if you see my sister.
Yes.
Well, we look like twins.
Yes, you guys do.
We look like twins. And but he, you know, his name is on her birth certificate. I also have another brother, a half brother and another half sister. So I'm just the one.
So you were the first one.
I'm the first black one.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so he had one full white daughter, and then she's the oldest, and then me.
Okay.
I'm the second oldest. And so after me, you know, my brother and then my baby sister. My baby sister and I are by my mom. So Papa was a Rolling Stone, but Papa liked black women.
I was just gonna say
Papa loved black women.
To
Okay,
spite his family to be like, well, y'all racist, but this is what my heart wants.
This is what he wanted. I mean, he loved black women, and so even to this day, I mean, he married a black woman. So his family, I mean, you know, they're the ones who are surrounding him. It still feels weird for me.
Yeah.
Just that always nagging thought that you weren't there for me.
Yeah.
You know, and I chased him. You know, I put in my book how I would drive to the bars.
Yes.
Is this my book or is it yours too?
Oh my God. It's great. I'm telling you.
There were times when I needed my daddy. I needed to talk. I needed a man's perspective. And I would have to drive around, you know, Johnny Say Hayes, Preacher, 007. I'm going to all of these, you know.
I love that
bars.
you knew that you needed that and that you actively went looking for it. I think that a lot of times we dismiss it and we'll say, I don't need him nowhere. He don't want me. I don't want him.
No,
you know?
I needed him. My sister is very frustrated with me. She's like, really, Cara? You know, let it go. And I'm like, but I want to talk to him.
Right. I
don't know why.
I think that you knew subconsciously that was the root of the, you know, of the rejection and of the abandonment. And you were like, if I could just get to him.
Yeah,
you know?
just get to him. And when we were together, we had a great time. But I had to drink with him. You know, I'm sitting at the bar, I'm drinking, and we could talk. But, you know, it would go from my problems to his, and we were just like, you know,
back and forth
with our problems and issues. But it was still like, I still need help.
Yeah.
You know.
Or why don't you want me? Like, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, why? What was it? And I do believe, because he came to me when I was around the age of 40. He called me and he apologized to me and he asked for forgiveness because he's been through some terrible freak accidents in his life. Yes.
So that horse of death came through and then things became priority shifted.
So he said, how can you get my name on your birth certificate?
Wow.
And I thought, ooh, by this time in my life, it's another name that saved me.
Right.
So I'm like, honestly, Daddy, I'm good. I forgive you. You know, and I knew, I told my husband, I said, it's not his name.
Right.
That saved me.
Yes.
This name, Jesus.
There's a greater name.
I want that name on my birth certificate, you know.
Right, if there's going to be any reprinting,
it's going to say Jesus.
It's going to say Jesus.
Our Lord and Savior.
That's right.
Wow.
And so, you know, I couldn't because he's not saved, so I couldn't really explain that to him.
Right.
I just said, you know what, Daddy, I'm good. I forgive you. You know, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Finally, at the age of 40,
Yeah.
I'm over it, and I honestly don't want to go through trying to get your name on my birth certificate.
Yeah.
So now it's a burden.
I mean, it's
you know,
good
I
enough,
wanted it,
right?
You don't want to give it.
That I'm calling you daddy, because I don't even think I'm to that point, because I'm just like, I call my dad by his name. Like, I don't know daddy. Like, I don't know what that is.
Right. And that's from my mom.
It can be a difficult term.
She has always said, that's still your daddy.
Yeah.
That's still your daddy. Regardless, that's your daddy. You're going to respect him. I'm like, okay, mama. Okay. You know, so
Right.
I've always called him daddy. And to this day, I call him daddy. He's very ill now. I was able to walk him through the process of asking for forgiveness and inviting the Lord into his life.
Really?
Yes.
Nice. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he was very close to death, and but he pulled back through. You know, he's still hanging on, although he's very ill. But you know, I do forgive him. It's just weird. It's different.
Yeah.
I have a different feeling. Like I said, that your name can't help me now at this stage. I've been through too much.
Yeah.
Chasing your name.
Yeah.
You know. So.
And I was healed by my Father in heaven. So,
That's right.
yeah.
So that rejection actually, you know, was the foundation of. I just felt like everybody rejected me.
Yeah.
You know, like I said,
There was a point where you was like, I'm going to reject y'all first.
I'm gonna beat you to the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I just won't show up.
Yeah, how about that?
Wow. No, that's good.
Nope.
Yeah.
I can tell you who's not coming.
Right.
Me. No.
That is true.
So yeah. That daddy thing. Actually, the Lord gave me another book about that, so I will be writing about that.
Yeah, let us know when that's gonna
Please
drop.
do, because I want to read that.
Yes.
Because I know I got some daddy issues
Yeah.
myself.
Yes, the
So
daddy issues can, you know, determine.
To me,
lot
that
of
was a
your
really
life.
scarring moment, though, because like it's one thing for your dad to reject you like subliminally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
he went to-
physically in
yeah.
court, like in front
Went
of
to
your
court.
own eyes, to the point where you, as a child, saw it, called it out,
Yep.
and then attacked him
Yeah.
and said, "Why are you acting like you don't know me?"
Right.
Yeah.
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 I think to take it to the court is different, and to have a
like a
judge
whole
rule
nother
on you,
level.
like most men just be like, "Well, I ain't gonna show up."
But
I'm just
then
not do
it really saddens my heart that our government failed you at that
Yeah.
point too. Like our own laws and policies allowed for
Yes.
this.
And the thing, it's it was like 1975 at this
Right,
point, if you were
yeah,
5. So
right.
that was not that long
Yeah, it
ago.
really wasn't.
And
So,
yeah.
That's
To
my-
keep up his pretenses, to pretend like he didn't when this is
But-
what you like.
So do you ever like how did you rationalize that? You know what I mean? Like like for me, like as a child, I looked at a bunch of things, did a certain way, and then as an adult, I try to put it into context. Like, okay, during this time, this is what was going on. So, Sherry Renee, can you understand why someone would act this way? You know, like it doesn't make it okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it allows for you just to kind of get that understanding and just realize that they're a human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As a child, I couldn't. I had no clue on how to rationalize
Yeah.
it. And as I grew older, like I said, I asked him straight out,
Okay.
why? Why did you do that to me? And that's when he told me the real deal. I will be, disinherited. And when they actually did disinherit him, his sister was in town, and she's like, "Yeah, but we got our money," And they gave him there was a case, an old case with an Army suit in it. And that's what they gave him. Everybody else got, I don't know how much money. I don't know really a thing about his folks at all,
wow.
because he couldn't even take us home.
Mm-hmm.
Only my oldest sister could go to Maryland,
Right, because she was white.
Because she was white, because she was the only one he would take to see, her grandparents. But none of us.
Did that ever
could go.
create tension between you and your
Oh,
sister?
yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
That sounds like another book.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
I want to hear all of this.
Yeah, my older sister and I, we went through a lot as youth. He would actually, when he would pick her up, he had to keep her for the summer. So, he was paying child support for her, and he was, getting his summers with her. He would pick her up and bring her right to our house. And we didn't even have food.
Yeah.
Right.
So her and I were talking not too long ago. She's like, "Yeah, I remember those mustard sandwiches we used to eat." And I'm like, "Yeah, they were good.
They were
wasn't
good.
they, girl?
Toast that bread.
Toast that bread and put some mustard
A little
on it."
imagination sandwich. You better imagine there's some salami or something in there.
You better pray we have syrup next week.
Right. And she's like, "Yeah,
That's
he
funny.
would bring me there, and you know, we just make the best of it." I say, "That's how life was for me,
Yeah.
all the time.
All the time.
That was life."
That was life.
So he
man.
would bring her to your mom's house.
So yeah,
Oh wow! And your
My
mom
mama
is
She's an amazing woman is what she is.
amazing woman.
Yes.
God rest her soul. Because I would have been like, "Sir, if
Right.
you don't go."
I'm telling you.
Oh
Jesus.
wow!
Yes.
Wow!
I really think my mom, I know she loved him
Yeah.
because, and then they ended up having another child together.
Oh wow!
My
Okay.
sister, you know, he couldn't deny her.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he didn't want me going back to court. Okay, say, okay, can we try this again?
Yeah.
You know.
And because the court would have been looking at him like, "Sir."
Right. Are you kidding me? So, yeah.
Wow.
So there is another relationship that you ended up in, and you ended up moving away from home. And you said it was an abusive
It
relationship.
was. Yes.
But it sounded like he did a lot of isolation and control. Can't talk to your parents for more than this many minutes.
Oh
and
my goodness.
Yeah, it was, so that was me on my journey to better. I was only 17.
Wow.
I married him at 17, and it was so, you know, so I'm listening to the voices. I said again, you know, people were like, "Oh yeah, he's the one for you," because when we were young, we were in a tom-tom wedding. So I was the bride, he was the groom, and they were like, "Oh yeah, make it happen for
Must
real."
be.
Right.
Hey, that's what we do, though. When we want a sign, honey, we will find it.
Right. The sign that works for my situation.
Right. And so I was very much in love with him, what I knew love to be. I had never had marriage pattern before me. So my mom or any of my aunts, they had never been married. And so I'm like, I want to be married. I wanted to break the chain. I wanted to do something different. So here I am, 17, right? Marrying the church musician. And he was in the military, and he was stationed in New York, and I moved there. Oh my. Completely different. Once he got me out, you know, from among my mom and my sister, and with him, it was like, oh my God. Awful time. So literally, like, things like if his parents gave us something, they gave us a living room set, they gave us a bed, they gave us a car, and there were some other things. I remember those three things. I couldn't sit on those things.
My goodness.
Yeah. It was, so it was like, just depending on how, no reason, you know, so I couldn't get in the bed.
Yeah.
You know, it was, so I'm like, okay, I can't get in the bed and I can't get on the couch,
Yeah.
you know.
Which only
What am I
feeds
gonna
the whole idea of
do?
not being good enough, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I had nobody. I was cut off from everybody. Couldn't use the telephone. You know, there were times I would go to the neighbors and use their phone. And it was so weird because sometimes she was running to us to use our phone. So it was like this whole mindset.
Oh, so she was in the
She
same
was
situation?
doing the same thing. So in your mind, it was normal. Like, this is what this probably should be
so I'm
like at this
okay,
point.
is this marriage?
Yeah.
You was like, my sister.
She getting
She running and I'm running.
she running.
And
we
this
running.
is the only marriage that you've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really different. I'm like, oh my God. But I wanted it to work so badly. I'm like, I don't want to fail at this. You know, I'm just going to deal with this. I'm going to do the best that I can.
Right.
But
I'll learn what makes him angry. I'll learn what sets him off.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
But anything could. You know, it was so stressful. It was the most stressful time. I ended up, when I got pregnant with our son, that was my fault. You know, it's like, you trapping me. That's what he said.
We're married.
I'm like, wait a minute. That's
What
what
kind
I
of trap is this?
So it's like, I'm not ready for that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. So it was really, finally, you know, he just wouldn't come home. He was in the military, so he would just go to the barracks and stay there days or weeks at a time. And the final straw was he came in and he was like, you know what? I want you to leave. And I'm like, no, and I'm like, no, I didn't want to go back. A failure.
Yeah.
And
I'm off the projects now.
Yeah.
I'm married.
With this baby, like this point now, I got a baby.
What am I going to do? Go back to the
goodness.
projects? He's like, look, just go for a while. I can't deal with this. He was like, I'm not ready for
But
this.
you're not even here, bro. What are you talking about?
And so I'm like, well, what am I going to do? He's like, listen, here's your Greyhound bus ticket. Already got it. You got to go. And I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was absolutely devastated. But it turned out to be the best thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. I love when you said that, when you were back home, you were trying to put up this facade, and your mom was like, look, girl, we know what it is.
Right.
Just sit down.
Right. It's okay.
But
home
then
is home.
He calls you back.
Yes. He's
And
like,
I'm ready for you to come home.
No, I'm ready for you and the baby to come home now. And I just froze. And I'm like, I can't go back to that.
Yeah.
There's no way I can go back to that.
Well, thank God you wasn't being hard-headed in this instance.
I said, Mama, I can't go back. She said, don't.
Yes,
It was
Mama.
she
made
Come
it
on,
so,
Mama,
and you know
yes.
what? That's when I knew that your mama was
Yes.
everything, because she made it so simple.
Come on, Mama.
Because reading it, so on the phone, you were like, okay.
I
Like when he said, come back, and you was like, and I was like, oh God, no. And then you was like, Mom, I can't do this. And she was like, then don't. And in my mind, I imagined her shrugging her shoulders like, girl, you ain't got to do that.
It was a light
Now, what
thing.
you want for dinner? You
Right.
want fried chicken or not?
Right.
You know?
It was a light thing to her.
Yeah.
She's like, you
Then don't.
always got to play
Right.
here. And I'm like, okay.
And you're like, oh, I don't.
Listen.
But I think that when you're so wrapped up in dysfunction and just being treated that way, then you do feel obligated.
Yeah. It's
Like, this is my marriage.
It's normalcy.
This is my marriage.
for
So I
you.
can just walk away.
Yeah, so here I am. I have empathy for another situation here from women who are abused.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who don't know how to get out of
Yeah.
it, who feel embarrassed
Yep.
by it, ashamed. They want their marriage to work and they can't understand why this man is treating them like this or
Yeah.
woman or whatever.
I think it's because they internalize it. And so they keep trying to change
Yep.
to make it better. But they never realize, or they don't realize that it's really him. Right?
Yep.
Right.
I can't change him, but I can change me. I
Yeah.
can go.
Yeah.
I can go.
Or it's that
And-
guilt of failing,
But you know what?
too.
But it's never that apparent.
It's
Yeah.
not, and it wasn't
When
for
it's
me.
you, it's please.
I'm telling you, I'm loyal to a fault. I'm like, I'm here. I'm your wife. We gonna make
Yeah.
this work.
Yep. And failure is not an option.
Failure, it's
Yeah,
not. And I have
because when
baby.
you're very committed to whatever you do.
I am.
Yeah.
And so I was willing to go through it, And when he said, no, I think you got to go. He was serious. He was like, you out of here. Even if I just need some space from you. And I'm like, but you was just gone for
Right.
a week.
Right. Like, you even live here.
Right.
And so it was a hard time. But like I said, my mom
No.
would make any situation just feel
A rock.
Yes.
I love that.
okay.
I was like, come on, Mom.
Oh, right.
He wouldn't let me bring any clothes. So I had no suitcase. I only had a baby bag
Oh.
and a winter coat.
He didn't told you to
'Cause
leave and he didn't want you to pack.
I couldn't pack anything.
That's control, man.
It was
Isolation and control.
absolute- Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And so when I got back here, I had to move back, in the project with my mom. I had to call my father, which was very humiliating, and said, "Can you buy me some clothes?"
Yeah.
Which he did. Come through for me. Bought me a couple of outfits from Kohl's department store. I'll never forget that.
Shouts out to Kohl's. Hopefully you had some Kohl's cash. They was having 70% off.
Look, Coach Cash coming handy.
And they will let you return anything.
Yes. Coach Cash coming handy.
So that was like, it was devastating, but at the same time, my mama made it okay.
She did.
She was like, don't go back.
The only way mamas can to bring you that comfort, to be like, this is home. You are at home.
Yeah. And,
Exactly.
and that was like, okay. Like, I don't have to go back, do I? It was-
So what do you think that your mom knew, or do you think that she experienced the same thing where she saw it on you?
She could have. I don't know the extent of her relationship with my dad, but my mom was one to never have relationship in front of us. So we didn't have men coming and going. And I, so I don't know. But if it was just that mother-daughter connection or whatever, just the love that she had for me,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, you never have to worry about anything.
Right.
You know when your child ain't right.
Uh-huh.
So when you have kids, I'm sure you know that with your own kids. Like when you saw your son crying, like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
Like you know when your kid's not right.
Right. And I tell my kids that to this day. You always got a place to stay.
Right.
You know, I don't care how old you
Could
are.
you tell my mama to say that to me? I be trying to get her to. She ain't going.
So
she like, you
mad.
good.
Your mama know you good.
Right.
She
I'm
know.
like, no.
Or she be trying to act tough, but if push come to shove, she gonna be like, come on. She gonna be rolling her eyes, but she gonna be like, come on.
Right.
Listen.
One of the things that stood out to me about this story was the guy said, "You ain't that pretty."
Oh, yeah.
I had other girlfriends that were prettier than you.
This what the husband said.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what the same guy said.
So it was so much more I didn't want to put in the book because, you know, like I said, out of respect for my son.
Right.
Sure.
Who is tremendous, by the way. You know, I was so afraid that he would grow up with those attributes. And he has not. He is awesome. He's incredible. And he's in the military. So I was like, maybe it's the military that did this. And no, I can't blame the military. That was just who this person was.
Yeah.
But yeah, the verbal abuse, you know, I could only call my mom on Sundays for 30 minutes. And he'd be right there. Making sure I didn't say,
Like, you better not speak on it.
All right.
SOS.
Listen.
You on there speaking in code, like, so.
Sending Morris code like, mama. See, back in the day, they had a FaceTime because I would have been like, mama, blink twice. Like, help me.
Man.
Right.
Like, look, man, if I call twice and hang up, then you know.
Right.
That's the sign for help.
Help.
But what I was wondering is, when he said that to you, what did you hear? Or what did you believe about you?
You know, I actually cried. I did. I cried because he was so different from the man that I married.
Yeah.
You know, the man who I thought cherished me. And then to hear these words about, you know, how I'm not beautiful to you. You've had other women that look better than me. Even though that's, you know, looks...
It's superficial.
It's superficial, but
it's hurtful.
It's hurtful.
Still.
Very hurtful.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it goes along with that whole theme of rejection.
Yeah.
Because first you put me on a pedestal and told me I was fine.
It's breaking. He was
Then
trying to break you
then
down.
you broke me.
Yeah. He was trying to. So you all got married at 17. So this was a span from 17 to how old?
Oh gosh, it wasn't. It was a good. Let's see. I had my son at 19. We were back home by I was 20.
Okay. But even that, like, you were so young. Like, that's the time of self-discovery. Like, those are those critical years
and
of who am I?
I was so young, and that set me off.
Yeah.
Like, I lost it after that. I was, you know, wilding out after that.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, you know,
Yeah, because after that, then you was like, I'm going to try this bad boy.
Yeah. Then it was the bad boy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So I really, you know, and that was a whole different thing. I'm out, you know, you're going through fighting and getting jumped. And these people are, you know, they're in the drug game. So, you know, it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, the whole time I could hear something like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you with this person? And I'm just like, I don't know, but
That
here I am.
I like it.
And that's what I was wondering. Did you ever get to the point where you were like, how did I get here?
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
Stop and look around like, wait a minute.
Yes, and with the bad boy, it was actually after he got shot. And I was like,
What am I doing?
what?
Right.
These people know where I live, where my mama live. I need to stop this.
That saying is like screaming in my ear, like, you cannot judge a book by its cover, because I would have never guessed. Like, looking at you, you would never think any of this
in my
stuff.
mind, she's just the person who sings "Order My Steps in Your Word" and hit all the notes. So
Listen.
then when I got to reading, I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, it's
Wait a minute.
like, wow,
Yes,
wow.
There is a lot. You know, the Lord was trying to order my steps for so long. And
Maybe that's why you can
just-
sing that song.
when I feel it now, I'm like, hey, I need help. You know what I'll do.
Right.
Yes.
No. So, yeah, just.
But there was a point where you said, you know what, God, I'm just going to be alone. I'm just going to focus on you. And if you tell me to be with somebody, then I'll be with them.
Now, there we go with Wayne again.
Aw. Yay.
The reason why I love the way it was set up is because you were saying, okay, let me prioritize.
Yeah.
Let me get the order of operation here. Because what happens is we go engage in all these activities, and then when things go awry, then we be like, God help.
Right.
And God is like, oh, but you didn't call me in the beginning.
Exactly.
Now you're calling me.
Exactly.
Right.
I ain't think you had my number.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. Or being all broken and then you trying to jump into something else, but you're not even put together yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So-
you're like, you know what, God, when you say so, then I'll
Yeah.
go.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was a woman of much loss. I had lost pretty much everything. You know, I lost my relationships with my husband. I had lost my mom. I had lost my spirituality. I was done. I said, you know what? I'm not going to move until you tell me to move. You know, I really need you to order my steps because
Right.
I have made a mess, you know, and now I don't know how to get along without you anymore. And so I took the oil and I anointed my house. I anointed my doors, my windows, the handles, the walls, just anywhere something could get in, I was anointing it, you know, and praying and talking to the Lord. Look, this is your house.
Right.
You live here.
Come on and dwell.
Yeah. So I want this house free of anything that's not like you. I don't want it in here. I don't want a human being in here. You know, this is your space from now on. Only,
Yes.
you know, the only person who could come in here is if you say they can come in here. And I stood on that, and I was very serious, and I was like, I just shut everything off, and it was just me and God. And so, you know, my mom passed, and Wayne was there for me, and, you know, we were friends. You know, we had tried the relationship thing, and it didn't work. And he was there for me, and we were in the Lord together. He was at the point where I was, because he tried a marriage too. And that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, I remember one of your family members said, you know, he got a divorce.
Just slide that in here.
Right, I'm just going to drop that nugget.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was already prophesied that you two would be married.
It
so
was. It
already out
was.
there.
And so by the same man who told me my mom was going to come.
Yep.
And so, you know, I believe what this man said was true. You know, so when Wayne was there for me and we were friends, you know, we weren't involved sexually, romantically, nothing. Hey, you going to church? I'm going to church. Make sure you get to church. You know, make sure you read, you know, your 30 minutes a day and this and that. We were friends, like real friends. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to invite Wayne over for dinner.
Oh.
That's what I said. Then I said, wait a minute.
Right.
I done anointed my house.
Listen.
Right.
Can't come in here.
Right. Everybody can't just come dwell up in here.
And I said, oh, Lord, forgive me. You know, if he's not supposed to be here, he's going to make an excuse.
Yep.
And it was pouring down raining. And I said, Lord, even if he said, you know what, it's raining, I just want to go in. I said, I'm going to leave him alone. I'm done. Because I know you you sent the rain to make him go away. You know, that's how serious I was. And with the Lord, I'm like, whatever you say goes from now on. And so I was cooking. I was nervous, I admit it. Because I wanted Wayne in my life. But I was like, okay, this is it. This is the turning point. You know, if he doesn't show, it's over. And so I'm cooking, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready, and the doorbell rang. And I was like, it's just a relief. And I knew it was him. And I opened the door. He's standing there. He looks so tired and wore down. And, you know, he's wet from the rain, and I'm smiling. I got this big...
Yeah, because you like, she's showing all 32 teeth.
She's looking at me like, woman, I'm tired. What you smiling for? And so I let him in. And even when he stepped up over the threshold, I'm like, yes! You know, and he was like, you know, I wasn't going to come. And then I looked. He's like, I wasn't going to come. I had pulled into the garage, and I had my phone ready to call you and say, I'm not going to come. I'm just too tired. He said, but something wouldn't let me. He said, I had to pull back out of the garage and come over here. You talking about? I started jumping. I was like, oh my God. Like, that was huge.
Yes.
And when he said something, there's that something.
That's something again. Something about the name Jesus.
Something. You know, he's like, something wouldn't let me. Now, when you all the way in the garage.
Yeah, you ain't coming back out.
Well, let me tell you something about black families. Look, once you go home, you just ain't coming back out.
I can't. And it was raining. Like, no.
That's all we need is a little bit of rain.
Just a little bit.
And I could see he was physically tired.
He was tired. Oh my
And he said, I had to back out.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I had to come.
And he had to back out. That's hard, too.
That was hard. Backing out of the garage?
Like, oh, no. This is too much work.
Right? and so at that moment, I was like, oh, my God. You know, it's so amazing to me. It truly is. And I told him, and he just lit up. He's like, oh, serious? So, you know, we start calling family members. And then he said, well, you got your answer, now I'm going to get mine. God is not a God of confusion.
Oh?
He's going to tell both of us. I said.
Matter of factly.
I said, you going to give me an attitude? I'm like, this answer is good for both of us.
Right. like we in the clear. Okay? This relationship was marked safe. By God.
Right. We good to go. What are you talking about?
And Wayne was like, we just going to make sure.
Right.
Okay,
we going to double check.
Right. I need to be sure.
That's him. I'm like, see, there you go being different again. Why you got to be different all the time, you know? And so he did get his answer. The apostle, that same man, looked at him one day and was like, go get your wife. You know, he said he was doing his lawn. He was cutting his lawn and he came out and said, man, go get your wife.
Wow.
Kara, what are you doing? He was like, when he wrapped up, he came and got me.
Okay.
Wow.
And,
Actions.
you know, yes.
Come on, Wayne.
I mean, and he was like, that's what the way he asked. He was like, Lord, if this is my wife,
Wow.
let my pastor tell me.
Wow.
And just like that, it happened. So he's like,
specific and intentional. Love it.
yeah. He's like, well, I said God is not a God of confusion. He let me know too. I was like, wow.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That is
amazing.
That's God.
Listen.
Yes. That's
wow.
him. I'm in awe of him. I am.
Aww.
So I'm just grateful.
For sure.
And we've been ride or die ever since.
Yes. Come on,
Ride
y'all.
or die.
Yeah.
How long have you all been married?
We got married 2003.
Okay.
So what's that? 15, 16, almost 16 years.
Wow. Yeah. Y'all OGs in this black love game.
We are.
Love that.
Yes, we are. So God has used him to pull me out of several pits. Honestly.
Yes. Wow.
Yes,
I love how it came full circle though for you both.
Yeah.
To find your way to God. Like it was full circle in that manner.
It was.
Yep. So, you know, when the Bible says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. Like, I wasn't a wife.
Right.
Back then.
So you don't think that you guys that you missed him? You were like, you know what? He found me, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't a wife.
I wasn't a wife.
Yeah.
So,
and essentially, that's kind of what he said when he came over that day.
Yeah,
when he said, I won't deal with
Yeah.
nobody like this.
yes.
You know, in other words, he was saying, like, you ain't being a wife right now.
Right.
Not being a
You know?
wife.
This is not what I want.
Right.
Let me exit stage left.
Right.
Like, I ain't gonna pass go, collect $200.
Right. I ain't playing with nobody.
Right. Love.
Yes.
Because there was a point where you said, in the book where you were just like, you know, I started to feel like just nobody liked me. Like, just...
Yeah, and like you said, that's that isolation. And I think that's exactly where the enemy wants us. You know, so then that depression can set in. You know, and those feelings of loneliness and not wanting to be around. Now you don't want to be around anybody, so he can really work on your mind at that point. But yeah,
Man, awesome.
that's how I felt. Like everybody who was ever around me left me in some form.
Yeah.
Or rejected me.
Yeah. Man.
That's good.
Except for Wayne.
Right.
Except for Wayne.
And your mama.
And my mama.
And your mama. Yes. Shout out to both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tell us your Jonah experience.
Oh my gosh.
I have to tell you, though. So I only hear the story of Jonah once a year.
Okay.
And every time I do, I have to do a 40-day fast.
Uh-oh.
It's the thing that me and God have. I don't know, but that's when he's like, and usually it's during the same time of year because I've kept a diary since I was 9, and I write everything in there. And last year I started to just kind of go back and look, and I was like, the same time God got me fasting. What's going on here? But this time it's a whole different season. Okay. And I didn't read your book, and you didn't talk about Jonah, and I was like, okay,
there we
God.
go.
So I'll let y'all know in 40 days what's moving.
So with that, the same time that, the Lord told me to write the book, and so I could understand how to hear him and why I haven't been hearing him and helping others to understand, as well, just from what I've gone through, we began to have more of a relationship, and it was getting closer and closer. And some of my family members, they think I'm really crazy for this, but, my sister and I are very close. Mm-hmm. And, we're always at each other's houses. And one night, whenever they would leave, it would be so hard. I'm telling you, we like the color purple.
Aww, me and you shall never pop.
And so it takes forever. Like, our husbands are so frustrated with us. Our goodbyes are so long. And so I'm standing in the door going, I love you. You're the salt to the earth and this and that. And when I say you're the salt to the earth, the Lord spoke to me and said, do you know what you're saying? And I was like, It was like dead in my
you was like, do I? I don't know.
Right. Like, wait a minute.
No, I just heard of that. I don't really know. I'm just, she's good people. That's my
right.
sister.
What I'm saying is, I love her.
Right. And he's like, do you understand what you're saying when you say that? And I'm like, no, I don't. So I'm literally having a conversation with the Lord while I'm saying my long goodbye. And I'm still in the door waving and I'm talking. And so now I'm like, okay, bye, leave me because I need to have this talk. And so I began researching, what that meant, salt of the earth and the scriptures and just going deeper into it. And I asked him a question, why are you talking to me like this? What is this that we have going on? And I said, are you calling me? Because I had been having these desires or feelings to be in ministry and things like that. And I'm like, do you want me to are you calling me to be in ministry? I'm like, look, you know how I am. I'm hard-headed. So I need you to really talk to me clear. And so I said, if you're calling me into the ministry in some form, whatever it is, tell my pastor. Right. And then he'll tell me, right? So I thought I had settled that. I'm like, there is no way my pastor is going to come to me and say, Cara, you called to preach or whatever it is. So I thought I had fixed that. And it was so weird. The following Sunday, we get to church and the pastor preaches about salt.
Yeah, when I read that, I was just laughing like, this is funny.
I was like, is this you? So this is, I went back to being hard-headed. No, that's a coincidence. How can that's really weird, but can you give me, something else? And so I actually went through a lot of things in my body. I felt a lump in my breast and I'm like, okay, why is this happening to me? None of my immediate family members have any breast issues or breast cancer or anything like that. So I'm like, okay. So I'm going through this. I'm afraid. I'm talking to him. I'm like, Lord, help me. This can't happen to me. So it turns out he rescued me from that again. There were cysts. And they were not cancer. So I'm so thankful, right? I'm so thankful. And I'm studying and I'm talking to him more. And I finally said, okay. I told him, I said, look, I don't want to dream. I don't want to, because a lot of people are called by dreams. And I said, I don't want to dream. I want to know. I want you to talk to me like in person. I want to be woke and be like, Cara's called to the ministry. I want to smoke and
like Luke. I
am
your father.
And so I said to him, I said, you know what? Am I acting like Jonah? I'm running? Why am I running from you like this? You know, I know who you are. I get it. But why am I running? And sure enough, the pastor comes back to preach another sermon. And he preaches, you can run, but you can't hide. And he's talking about Jonah. I said, okay, you know what? So I finally accepted. I said, okay, yes.
Yes, right.
I give you my yes.
Because the signs ain't going to be no clear now.
It was so, I mean, I think I may be leaving a part out, but it was like, I was so hard-headed. I'm like, no, I don't accept that. I think I did have a dream, too. And then I said, I said I didn't want a dream.
Right.
I'm like, I know he's like, who does she think she is? You know, I'm just that. You know, I'm like, Lord, you know, I'm a work. I'm a lot of work. I get that, you know. So I guess that's why I had to have a different husband.
Yeah.
Who would,
purpose partner, come on.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of purpose, what do you think your purpose is in life?
I finally know. I
Do tell.
finally know. And that is, so after going on this journey and going back and forth with God, I mean, I know he's like, I'm fighting back, you know.
Yeah.
But trying to understand, and I want to be sure, you know, just wanting to be sure of what you're saying is true. You know, I don't want to be a liar and say the Lord told me this.
Right.
I want to be sure, right? And so that's why I explained to God. I said, look, I'm really not trying to be disobedient. I just want to be sure.
Right.
Yes. And I, you know, I know you're with me. And so I wrote the book. And, you know, I've gone through the process. And then from that, he's like, you're not done. And in the book, I talk about that whole time where he was, you know, calling me into ministry. He told me I was a letter.
A letter.
He said, you're a letter. And I couldn't understand it. It was actually during the time we were having these minister classes. And by the time I accepted and became a part of the minister's class, the pastor was like, I'm stopping the class. And I was like, wait a minute. Now I done accepted.
Right.
And I need help, you know. And so I was talking to him, and I went to him, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I need that piece of paper that says I'm a minister. I need that paper. I need that letter. And he's like, you're the letter. And I said, okay. So I actually found the scripture, 2 Corinthians 3, that says, clearly you're a letter from Christ. And I'm like, oh my God, you are incredible. Like, this is a real scripture.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I'm going, what does that mean? And so this is who he created me to be. I'm the letter. So my purpose, so what does a letter do? It communicates. And we have used, you know, letters for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years. So by him telling me I'm his letter, I am to communicate. So this one book is not it.
It's not, yep.
So I'm also doing blogs, and I have some other things that are in the works, but I am supposed to communicate. So my purpose, whatever form he gives it to me, in my singing, because I never understood that. You know, why do I sing? You know, I don't even like being out front. You know, but you gave me this wonderful gift, and so I have to give it back to him. And my purpose is to communicate. So I started Letters from Christ, and just to let people know that he's with us. Right? You know, he's listening to us. He's there with us. He's speaking to us in these different forms of communication. And so as he's giving me more, you know, I have my website going now where I'm blogging on there. I've, you know, more books are coming. And just as he's feeding me, you know, I have to communicate what he's giving me. And so for him speaking to me about salt and about different things that I've gone through and everything that I've gone through in this book, it's just an introduction to let me know I can do this.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I love that when So when God says you're a letter, then you're like, okay, well, I'm a blog, Letters from Christ. You know, you're saying, well, what can I do now? You know what I mean? What can I do? If this is my gift, if this is what I believe God has called me to do, then how can I start now? Because I think that when a lot of times people know what they're supposed to do and they do nothing.
And they do nothing. And so that's a part of what Letters from Christ is. So when Paul wrote this scripture, he wasn't talking to other ministers. He was talking to the Corinthian church.
Yeah.
He said, don't you know who you are? You are all letters from Christ. And it's like, and so that's my purpose, to help people understand who they are in the Lord. And you will reach your purpose. We're so focused on what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Well, first, you know, there's a process. You don't just wake up one day and bam.
Yeah.
Maybe some people do. I don't know. It didn't work that way for me. I had to go through some things to understand my purpose and to understand that, you know, he's here and what he wants me to do, because he does have a plan for each and every one of us. And so Letters from Christ is doing that. That's the purpose of Letters from Christ. And so I am so excited about that. And just being able to help people in any way that I can, you know. So when I blog, like, I don't have a set blog time. Like, I'm going to blog in every such and such a day. I blog as he gives it to me. So as he feeds it to me. And so far I've been getting, like, really, really good feedback and on the blogs and whatnot. So it's like it's coming straight from the Lord, just like this book. So I am one of his communicators, just one.
Right.
You know, so are you, and so are you, you know, what you're doing. So, yes, that's my purpose.
Awesome.
That is great.
Yes.
That's my purpose.
But most importantly, though, is that once you got it, is that you started implementing it.
Yes.
Yep.
And so it's going to show up in other forms, like you said, but the common theme or thread will be communication.
Yep.
But
yeah,
I'm just glad that you got busy with it.
I did. I'm like,
who knows what the blog could turn out to be.
Listen,
That's right.
No, that's good.
Right. Yes.
And communication is certainly your gift. Because so I want to ask you so many more other questions about, you know, the book. Because you're just so easy to talk to and you're so poetic with it.
Yeah. And right. And the thing that you were nervous about coming on, but it totally feels like, oh, that's just Carl.
Yes.
You know, we talking.
We just talking.
So,
Chit-chat,
yes.
you know.
Yes.
But yeah. But unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up.
Okay.
But my final question is, who does God say that Kara is?
Ooh. God says that Kara is a seeker. Because of him, and I told him, I said, you made me this way, right? I have to seek out information. I have to get to the bottom of things. And I don't mean it to be disrespectful. Especially not to him, you know, although some people look at me and say, girl, you crazy. You know, you should have just said yes, or you should have just done it, you know, the first time. And I'm like, well, I need to be sure because I know who I am. I know I had a tendency to listen to other voices. And so I want to be pleasing to him. And for me to do that, I seek out information. I take that extra step. So I'm very careful with him now because I know who I was.
Right.
You
and
know.
you know who he is.
Now,
he ain't playing.
Right.
Now I know who he is. And now I can say, God will say, Kara is a child of God.
Yeah.
In every instance of the word, of being a child to a father. You know, now I have that father, you know, that I've longed for. And now that my mother is not here, he's my mother. You know, so I'm totally dependent on him. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good thing because, like I said, I know who Kara without him is.
Yeah.
And that's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't go back to that.
Can't go back to that.
Yeah.
No more onions.
Yeah. That is funny. In hindsight, always.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's why she's like, chapter 2.
Yeah.
Telling you, man. I was like, whoa. whoa.
Yes.
Like, what happened here?
Oh, goodness. Yes, I wasn't ready, but I got ready. So then what's next for Cara? I know you have the blog. You got this book, Death by Giants. What else? What else can we expect from you?
I have a journal coming out really soon. And this is, the Lord let me understand that it's important for us to remember what he's done. Mm-hmm. He's big on that. Mm-hmm. And so this journal is called 100 Days. No, it's called 100 Blessings and Prayers. And what this journal will do is help walk you through writing down your blessings. So, I say, how did God bless you today? Who did he use to bless you today? How did you feel, or what feelings did you express when he blessed you? And then I think another really important question is, did you ask for the blessing, or did he just do it? Because he's just that good, where he'll just do it. Yeah. And I think that's important to look back on. And so as you're filling out this journal, then I say, now based on all your answers above, craft a prayer, thanking him, for the blessing he bestowed on you this day. And I think that's just awesome. And I want to challenge, my family and friends and anyone else who comes in contact with this journal to just write down how good God is. Because so many times those voices will tell you you're alone and that nobody loves you. But if you take the care to write down and remember what he's done for you, and then at the end of your 100 days or at the end of the year, however, I didn't put a time frame on it, and so it's however you fill it out. And when you go back and look at that, can you imagine?
So I have actually done that, not in that format, but a gratitude jar. And so you just write what happened, you put it in, you fold it up, put it in there. And I remember it was just one day I didn't even make it to the end of the year. I was just really depressed. And it was a cute little box, and it was sitting in my living room on the coffee table. So I got to opening it, and I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely. And it's important to him.
And it was overflowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was a lot of it was just little things, but it meant so much to me at the moment. And then I felt so ashamed that I had the nerve to forget.
Yeah, and it's easy to forget about the small blessings and that you don't really think about much further than that, but to go back and to force yourself to go back to be like, okay, I need to be intentional to be thankful for all of this.
Right.
That's right.
And really what it does is it allows you to shift your perspective, because now you can see objectively what happened to Sherry Renee. Oh, that was cool. But when it's you, you're like, yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
But to somebody else is everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Please let us know when this journal comes out.
It's in the works. It's almost done.
Okay.
Yes, I'm trying to get it out before in time for Christmas.
Okay.
Yay.
Cool.
For Christmas gifts.
Yes. So, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Okay. And say the name of your blog again and where people can find it.
On my website, lettersfromchrist.net. And there is a tab there that says blog letters.
Okay.
So everything is a letter.
Okay.
I'm doing book letters, blog letters. So I'm calling everything a letter.
Nice.
Because that's what he told me. So
awesome.
I'm sticking to that.
And where can people find Death by Giants? Because we didn't say. So in the book you talk about what people need to do to clean out their ears and hear from God, and we didn't talk about that because y'all need to read the book.
Yeah, we don't want to tell you everything, but.
There's a lot that we really didn't cover because this book is really jam-packed with a lot of different stories and a lot of different situations that happen. But
she makes it plain, and I told Cara that I'm glad because again I'm not very rooted in church or scripture and things like that, so I need it to be plain. I need to see it. Right. If I gotta roundabout and read scriptures and kind of decipher that, it's not gonna stick. That soil is no.
Right. I get that. So I'm probably the most hard-headed Christian you've ever met. So, and that was the purpose of writing the book so transparently, because I wanted to not just be preachy, but to give an example of how I messed up.
Yeah.
And I messed
and that
up.
It was powerful.
Yes.
The actual story.
The stories that I shared, things that I went back and forth with the Lord. I really don't want to share that, but you know what? He won. I said, yes, I'll do it. And so just letting the reader know that, you know what? You can still win. Right. You're not defeated.
Yep.
And actually, we had a friend on, and we actually had to disguise her voice because she was telling us about this horrible relationship that she was in, and it left her just feeling so defeated and so ashamed. She didn't want her voice to be on, right? And I have to tell her that she has to read this book because you detail out a lot of different relationships that you've been through, and hers does not even compare to this situation. Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that is really just inspirational.
It is,
in a sense, but it's also teaching because you're showing us what you did. Right. You know what I mean? It's your real story.
Yep.
So,
and what I was telling Chanel yesterday, and you made me stop talking. You said, The purpose for me personally for this book was that if my life and all the mistakes that I made don't mean anything,
right,
then it was just all for nothing.
Yep.
I went through these experiences for nothing.
Right. Yep.
And that's in vain. And that's my healing. To write it down, to be able to help somebody else. The more people, when I hear, oh my God, you helped me, I'm healed.
Yes.
I'm like, thank you,
So our
Lord.
mission is to heal and help others as we heal and help ourselves.
That's what we do.
Purpose-driven conversation.
Yes, that's what we do. So every time we hear it, we're like, okay.
You have that's our high.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that is our
Yes.
high.
Yes.
Like, I don't care. Look, I'm at work. I'll see it come through. And I'll be like, Chanel, stop the press. Everybody stop. Chanel, did you see that?
Yes.
Did you read it?
And I'm just
Are you good? Okay.
Oh my God. But no, that's why I felt like this conversation with you was so important. So again, you've definitely like left something with me. Like, I don't know you. Like, so this is my first time meeting you, and I feel like you just said, Sherry Nada, I can keep talking to you like all day. Like, this is great. And I know there's a reason and a purpose for this, that you're here today.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Alrighty. So what goes in the to-go box? What are our takeaways?
Ooh, so jam-packed. But I think for me, like, your whole story is very personal to me too, just to understand and say, like, you do have a Father in heaven. Like, there is somebody out there who's watching over you, and to be intentional with what you're doing in your life, because it's a gift and tomorrow is not promised. And just to be a better person, that God he's still on your side, even when I make mistakes, and I'm not going to cry, but to just keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest takeaway too is just that it's never too late. You know what I mean? Like, you can never stray far enough away from God. Like, he has that real unconditional love.
He does.
And it also made me think about what love is to me. You know what I mean? Because obviously you detailed out, your different situations with your family, and then personal relationships with guys, and it's just like, it's incomparable. You know what I mean? It's just realizing that, you know what, you can break me for a second, but you were devastated when you felt like God left you.
Yeah.
Like, that was a whole different level.
Yeah.
Right. When he didn't speak back to me or give me something, I was crushed.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, people, y'all nothing.
Right.
But God.
Right. It was like, God don't want to hear from me.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's just all about just trying again, because that's the other thing too. You were relentless. Like, you just kept trying. You know, you got it wrong a lot of times, but you kept trying.
You kept trying.
And some, they say that successful people have failed.
Yeah.
They failed more than anybody else.
Right.
That's what successful people do.
Right.
They fail more than anybody else in the room. So that was big for me, is that it's just, you think that nobody want nothing to do with you, because when you said that, like, you were to the point where you felt like nobody really wanted you. I have certainly felt that way about myself. Like, I feel a lot of times like people want what I can bring.
Yes.
They want my company to make a donation. They want my sorority to do something. They want me to pour into their business. They want me to give them advice. They want something that I can do for them, but they don't want me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know that may not always be the case, but that's my perception because of my abandonment issues.
Right.
So that's how I see it. So when somebody says, if somebody who I don't talk to reach out to me and ask me to do something, sometimes I'm like, what you want?
one?
Who sent you?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, after I read this book, so I was up all night. I was up all night writing in my diary, just detailing out my patterns and just like, okay, what is your theme here? And what are you going to do with that? And how does that relate to your purpose? So,
and I really think that's important. As I was thinking about this, being here and, what could I possibly offer that was not in the book? And you said it so many times, patterns and cycles. And once we're caught in that cycle, we can't hear anything else.
It's vicious, man.
It's a vicious cycle.
Deafening.
It's deafening. It is. And so we have to do something different. You have to break that cycle somehow and get those spiritual ears tuned up. So you can start hearing from the Lord. So you can, get out of that sin cycle. Repent. That's the first step. Repent. Get through it. Change. That's what repent is. Change your way of living. You have to make a change. You have to break that cycle.
Right.
If you're used to dating a certain man like I did, I was like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. I'm done.
And sometimes you got to be done.
You got to be done. Then you can. Then there's a different focus that comes.
Yeah.
And so, I wish everyone the best.
Yeah.
Here, because this is an attack.
Exactly.
It is.
It is
an attack.
It is a vicious one. And hey, when you know better,
right,
you can do better.
The hope is you'll do better.
And that's why it's good to know the pattern. Because then you can say, there you go again.
See? Yeah.
Rein it on in.
That's right. That's why I said, I'm being hard-headed again.
Right. And then you can call it out. Like you said, hey, I'm being hard-headed. Now look, God, you know your child is hard-headed.
That's right.
And your book is available on Amazon.
It is. And Barnes & Noble.
Nice.
And also, if you go to my website, you can get it there.
It's there too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There too.
You can get it here. You can get it there.
Everywhere.
You can get it anywhere.
You get a book. You get a book.
Right. Everybody gets a book. We will put the link to the book in our show notes so you guys can easily access it just by clicking the link. The book, again, is called Death by Giants, When Your Flesh is Louder Than His Voice by author Carlock Harris. Hey. Thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time.
Peace. Thanks, guys, for listening to Brunch with Besties podcast. Be sure to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, now YouTube, and Google Play. Basically, we airware. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a review and rate us. We would so appreciate that. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to find us on Twitter. Our handle is BrunchWBesties. On IG, you can find us at Brunch with Besties Podcast. And if you'd like, you can shoot us an email. Our Gmail is brunchwithbestiespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.